here with your good sis you let her talk TV with, and
Your girl Allie Nick, giving it to you when I give it to you, but always in the nick of time.
always in the nick of time. Yes, and this episode is so special, y'all, because we are getting into the men folk conversation. Yeah, it's about time. It's about time to line them up and knock them down. We are going to be examining the men of Sistas and specifically how they shape our women's world. In this episode of Our Sisters Keeper, we're going to be talking about Aaron, Zach, Tony, Rich, Calvin, Preston, Gary, and Maurice. We're going to take a look at their problematic behaviors. We're going to take a look at redemption arcs and their overall character development. Okay? But we're not just going to do that in jest. We're going to be speaking and unpacking this with the understanding that we are living in a patriarchal society, and Tyler Perry has written these men and these women into a patriarchal society as well. So that means that women in a patriarchal society, specifically a lot of male identified women, will orient their decisions around male validation. A lot of times, women's success and failure is often tied to the relationship that they have with men. We see that in the show a lot. And women's character development is frequently revolving around the reactions to men. So, while speaking to the things that we're going to speak about these men, we're also going to keep all of that in mind and go deep. And like, I feel like this has been an episode waiting in the wings, in the makings. We touch on it here and there, Allie. Like, we literally peek into it. We'll make a point if an episode brings up a specific toxic behavior or a specific problematic moment, but we haven't done it in depth in this way. I'm excited.
I'm overly excited. I'm overly excited because just as you stated, of course, we talk about the men somewhat. And also, like how you said, we take a little peek. But tonight we are taking down the curtains, opening up the shades, opening up the windows and the doors to really expose, discuss the men of Sisters.
And as we,
And
sorry.
no, and that's what I'm excited about it because these women and these men, these specific group of men,
Ooh.
um, it's that's the perfect sound effect. Ooh, as you were naming them, I felt the ooh in my spirit because I was like, you know what, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
This is going to be good, informative,
I hope so.
transparent.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
And ultimately, y'all, after we finish unpacking, peeling back the curtain, lifting up the sofa seats, the cushions, if you will, getting down into the nitty gritty as it pertains to these men, one of the things that I hope that you can have a conversation, whether with us in the comment section or in the chat or in the DMs, however you prefer, or even just internally, the conversation that I would love to arise is, do these men improve or diminish the lives of these women? Mm. Where we going to first, Allie?
Girl, we going to my baby. We're going to the one and only Aaron Carter,
Ooh,
who we have coined as the gold standard,
tell
which
it.
I think is
Tell
the
it.
perfect description to identify him as and or by, because the gold standard, he is that. He is that.
Period. Period. Aaron is just such a refreshing character to experience in the Sisters universe specifically because we are constantly inundated with so many problematic and toxic men. Some of them, well, all of them look amazing, have jobs, except for that. Are functioning in society as men. However, Aaron raises the conversation when you think about the men in the Sisters universe because manhood should be more than just showing up with your penis, your good looks, and your job.
Mm.
Like, it got to be more. And Aaron always came with more. And what is so intriguing to me is that I fought liking Aaron when he first entered. Of course, the whole "this is why I date white women" threw me. It threw
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah. I feel you,
excuse
sis.
me,
I do.
sir. Excuse me. But as you know, as the character went on, and as the character got to know Karen, committed to Karen, talked to God about Karen, and really showed who he was, honestly, falling in love with him as an audience member feels like it was undeniable for me, and I couldn't fight it anymore. And then also, he called into question as a character, similar to what Karen as the character was experiencing. He called it into question for me as an audience member of like, girl, why you not rooting from this from the jump? Do you really believe that this man don't exist? We get a dream man
Mm.
put on screen for us, showing up as emotionally intelligent, showing up as emotionally stable, showing up as a provider, showing up with patience, showing up with grace, showing up in all of the ways that you speak of or have experienced lack in other men. And now you think he's too good to be true? And then Karen decides that he's too good to be true, baby.
Yeah.
If anything has worked in the Tyler Perry universe as it pertains to men, I really feel like it's Aaron Carter, which is why we have him as the gold standard.
You said so much that needed to be said because I know I have been an Aaron lover from the very beginning. I quickly gave him grace and a pass for the white woman statement
Mm,
because he quickly corrected and was able to accurately assess, you know what, this had nothing to do with you. I just found something out that I'm dealing with, that I'm processing, and you was kind of like an easy target at the moment. But he
mm,
corrected it, and so from that moment there, I said, "Oh, baby, I'm riding with you." And like I've
yeah.
said before, I didn't know the treacherous journey we was gonna be on. However, I'm grateful for the journey, and I am grateful that this particular character is displayed amongst black women, especially in contrast to the other men on the show. Aaron has been consistent. Aaron has truly been a person who I have really connected with on many levels, but also on a spiritual level as well. Because, yes, we pray for certain things, we ask God for certain things, or we, attempt to will certain things into our lives. And then when it manifests, we question. When it manifests, we are quick to reject. When it
Mm-hmm.
manifests, we are quick to doubt its existence, even though this is what we have been hoping, praying, and standing firm on. When it comes, it's like, nah, ain't no way.
Yeah.
So you war. So then it becomes a war. Well, if you feel it's not a way, then why are you wasting your time praying for it?
Ooh.
If you praying for something and you obviously feel it exists and now it has manifested and you're quick to reject it. So even though with the character of Aaron, he does get a lot of flack, but Aaron, for me, he does represent what happens when your prayers are answered. What do you do when
Yeah.
it's in your face?
Literally that. I love that, Ellie. And some people are going to, try to say, try to claim
Hmm.
um that I kind of want to get ahead of something. We're just giving
Okay.
all this favor and bias to Aaron. So I do want to make sure that we speak on the very rare, let me say it again, rare missteps that he makes. Why? Let's start with at the very beginning. Why do you think Tyler had him say, that's why I mess with white women or I date white women?
You know what? This is so interesting that you asked that question because when he made that statement, you know who I thought about?
Who?
Jason from the game. Jason
Ah.
Pitts. Jason Pitts married Kelly. He didn't, and we
Mm-hmm.
found out later in that season he didn't love her initially. Honestly, it was because when Jason wanted to date black women, he was getting rejected because he was the nerdy guy, or he
Mm-hmm.
was the guy that had no flavor. He was the guy that you didn't really have no game. But once he became a professional, famous football player, at that point, the black women that he couldn't get when he was younger were all up on his tip. So it made me think that could they have possibly been Aaron? Could it
Mm.
have been where when he wanted to be with a black woman, where he wanted, or he was, giving his attention, maybe he was rejected. And it appears from what we know that him and Fawn met each other when they were both not in a great place, when they were both in a place of
Mm.
addiction. And they connected that way. So it really could have been not even more so he messed with white women, but mainly she was the woman that was available in his time of distress and trauma. So that's how I kind of took it. I mean, also I think it was a way to hurt Karen because he obviously liked what he saw. He tried to kick game to her just a little bit,
Yeah.
not a lot. And Karen wasn't trying to hit her. She wasn't rude, but she was dismissive.
Yeah.
And he's already in a vulnerable place, so he took offense to it, and said what he said. He knew he was gonna get the sisters riled up with that. Karen,
Listen
you can't say
here.
that in a grocery store full of black women.
I said, oh, Bets. Bets. Say
You
less.
can't do that. Mm-hmm.
Because that's, baby, Erica is very, very easy to read. Heart on her sleeve. If you want to, with me, be anti-black or be anti-black woman, then let's fight about it. Sure. Let me whoop your ass real quick. What you mean? That's why you date white women. Yeah. And oh my God, this will still go down as one of the most iconic moments of the series. And I also kind of have a little bit of beef with Tyler behind this particular moment, because we have this moment where she gets Aaron together, and it feels like a rallying cry for black women, and it also feels like something that is going to set the tone for what we're going to watch as it goes on. And then we kind of never see that again. We never see this amount of confidence. We never see this amount of gravitas. We never see this amount of like, no, you actually got it twisted. You got me up with these women. Not even specifically to Aaron, but with these women. Did you kind of feel like that?
I haven't really thought about it, but in the moment, yeah, very much so. You didn't really have this again. If anything, it was the conflict among the black women, them fighting against each other and not really coming together in unity. And also too, I think that they were playing on both of the vulnerabilities of Aaron and Karen in that moment, because this was the time where she what was I think this was the second episode. So this was right after I'm gonna say she gave Zach pity coochie. That she gave that, what I'm saying, that she woke up the next morning, upset with herself that she allowed, her desires to supersede what she knew she should have done in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I think they were both in a vulnerable, position. He responded by the white women. She responded, how she responded and told him the hell off. Karen, I mean, my God, read him for filth.
You know what? Let's run it back, Allie. Let's just go ahead and peek into that scene real quick, just for old time's sister's sake.
Old time's sake. Old time's sake.
Yeah, hell, I'm just saying hi to you. You can't even say hi back.
Whatever, okay?
See, that's why I date white women.
It was the wrap around for me. It was
He couldn't just let it go.
He should have just let it go, Allie.
He should have let it
go. He should have just let it go. But that ain't even it. When she get into it, that was the preamble. I gotta break it up so we don't get no copyright strikes around here. But
yeah.
Aaron speaks his little piece, and then here go Karen.
When you walked up here, okay? Yes. Yeah. Some of us do have an
attitude.
Yes, sister. We are tired of playing weak, so sorry.
My sister.
No, okay?
No.
Tired of dumbing ourselves
no. Oh,
down.
we gonna get copyright. Let me pause. Let me pause.
Let's pause that. Pause that. Yeah.
But the spark notes is we're tired. Yeah. We're tired of doing everything, being everything, still having to be better, let alone 10 times better. Having to be soft with you, but then hard with the world, having to know everything, but then act like I don't know nothing. She literally laid it all out, made it plain. What did the Lord say? Speak it. Write it down, make it plain. Karen made it plain. And all the sisters in the grocery store. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we knew that Miss Girl was on to something. We knew.
Oh, Daddy, your damn therapist. But all we really want to do is just be.
Iconic moment.
Be us. Be women.
Yeah.
So
he just threw her off because she was, Karen wanted to be a mom.
That way.
And then she's admiring this couple with this child. And then the first thing you want to say is it ain't all it's cracked up to be. I'm sorry, do not burst my bubble, sir, in this grocery store.
And then who the hell are you?
That was strike one.
Hello?
Who are you? That's the question. Who are you? Who sent you?
Talking to me. I definitely moved through
Yeah,
this world. If you like rub me the wrong way initially, shut up talking to me immediately. That is my immediate
yeah.
response. Because who are you?
Yes.
We want to be
Yes.
clear. Aaron was dead ass wrong there. We ain't
He
letting him off the
was.
hook for that. But then he goes on to redeem himself in ways that men in this damn universe will never even understand, never even know, probably never even see. Because, they just not built like that. What are some of the key
And it's
qualities that you... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm saying it's not even a matter of being biased. It's just the truth.
Period.
Seasons 1 through 8 has shown us that it's just the truth. We just here to speak the truth.
That's it.
That's it. That's all.
What's some of the key qualities that stuck out for you, Allie, about him that you believe set him apart?
I would say off rip, Aaron Aaron's ability to be emotionally intelligent at all the right times. And not even just at all the right times, he encompassed that characteristic that he is an emotionally stable individual, and he's able to articulate and have effective communication. Because a lot of people be talking, but they're not communicating effectively. And Aaron was able to convey that truly in such a way, even from that, going back to that particular scene, when they're in the car, he was able to say something to Karen. It was the truth, but it pissed her off because she asked him, why are all my friends, why are we all going through something with men? And he said, well, maybe it's not about those men. Maybe it's about the women who are choosing those men.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to hear that. And he said, oh, so you're not going to take responsibility for that? And what does Karen do? She strike back. You going to take responsibility for your wife cheating on you with another man? And that's when he exited the car. So it was even in those moments. Now he was already triggered. Karen said what she said, and he was able to bow out peacefully. He didn't disrespect her. He didn't go off on her. He didn't call her out of her name. So right then and there, I knew, I'm like, this man is different. Because any other man would have called you a B and made his way and snatched his ice cream from you. That's what another man would have done. But he was just able to me to just communicate effectively, even so that you may not like what I'm saying, but you're going to think about what I'm saying. Yeah. So that was one of the key elements that I appreciated about him from the very beginning.
And then he proceeded to like keep that mutuality with that, because Karen kicked it right back to him, and it didn't feel good. The same way it doesn't feel good when you are a woman who was making the wrong choices, and when you fell in love with the man that you're discovering now is the wrong man, and he got you up, and somebody come and tell you, so you gonna take responsibility for falling in love with this? It's like, what you mean? I'm now at fault for loving somebody. I'm now at fault for seeing the best in somebody. I'm now at fault for wanting the good and thinking that I could change him. And all of that sounds great on paper, baby girl. Speaking from a former crash out that was falling in love and trying to ride or die, had a damn Jody to my Yvette. So I ain't talking about you. I'm talking about me too, okay? That sounds all good on paper. But there's still some accountability to be had. And there are very real conversations that need to be had to speak to that accountability. The same way that there was some choices, some picking. You just told me in the grocery store, that's why you deal with white women. But see what that got you? Yes, Fawn, is stop. But there's some point that you actually picked her. You walked into this. This was actually some of consent. You didn't consent to being cheated on. You didn't consent to being betrayed. But you consented in picking the person, whether you knew them well enough or you didn't know them well enough. You moved into this thing with them. And honestly, when we put it like that, it's like, that is so powerful. And like seeing them both kind of on the same level, confronting similar things with very different circumstances.
Yes. And I like what you said about that too, because it just reminded me of something. Even though Aaron, to me, almost like when it came to Karen, it's almost as if he was above her. But in reality, as you just stated, they really were one of the same, because Aaron, to me, had this false sense of reality in some areas of his life. And so going back to, us making sure we point out in the moments that Aaron didn't have it right. Because even with Fawn, he never imagined Fawn would do what he did. And it was an episode where he came into Karen's salon because he booked her for an appointment because he wanted to spend time with her. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, "Listen, when you pop up, baby, your wife pop up." He was like, "Ex-wife, whatever." Fawn pops up, and no, well, she's not gonna do anything. She won't bother you anymore. And she popped up on Karen yet again, and
Yep.
we all know what happened in her salon. So I think with sometimes we are unable to read certain situations. We don't get it right all the time. And
Yep.
so when I always hear people say that Aaron just he comes off as if he's perfect. And I'm like, no, you got to read between the lines. This man had a lot of false reads on people and situations and circumstances. He
Mm-hmm.
did not get it right, all the time. However, when one thing I will say about Aaron, he makes me think of one of those people. I only need to get the lesson one time.
Ooh. Yep.
That sets him apart as well. I don't need to be repeated. I don't need to repeat this over and over. I got it the first time.
Yeah. I would
And I move
agree.
accordingly now that I got it.
I would agree. Another quality that really to me sets him apart is that he did a really great job of respecting Karen's autonomy. Even at times where he was bumping up against her boundaries, I think that he did a good job of not really crossing them. Some people might, disagree with that because there were times where he was extra pushy, but I think in those times, Karen was less clear. When Karen was definitive, when Karen was clear, when Karen clearly like outlined whatever the boundary was, I think he stayed within the parameters of that, and he didn't move in a way that felt retaliatory or like seeking revenge on her for rejection in this moment or dismissal in this way, which also I guess piggybacks on the amount of immense patience and grace that this man has in his body.
Maybe because he got it.
Yes.
And I will say, and I do agree with you in the moments where Karen made it very clear, because I'm sure we'll dive into that later on when we're dealing with Karen more so. But there were many a times that Aaron was like, "Look, I'm gonna leave you alone till you figure this out." And then Karen would tell Andy, "I miss him. I want to call him." Or, "What you doing? I'm gonna pop up on you on the basketball game. Hey, can you come over?" So it was a lot of flip flopping, going on. But I think it was the end of season 6 when she made it very clear. At the time, this is before she found out about the twins. She, was sure that she was pregnant by Zach, and she told Aaron, like, "I want to be pretty much left alone."
Mm-hmm.
And it really did feel like a breakup, and we didn't see that brother again
Yeah.
until Karen had to tell him that she was pregnant with twins, and he fathered one of them. He left this woman alone. The only thing that he did was invest into Roots and Riches, and I guess maybe checked on her through Pam every now and again. But he never showed up to the salon. He never called or texted her. He truly left Karen alone.
Yeah.
So when she was clear, he he was definitely, he kept his distance. He really did.
Think do you think struggle with or excel in reference to respecting women's autonomy and boundaries?
I think it's a struggle. I'm gonna say, and men, I'm not coming at y'all. I'm just saying, as a whole, it is a struggle because there are a lot of men, honestly, who cannot accept rejection. And
Mm,
it's like, rejection is not a bad thing. It could be a number of reasons why this woman may not be interested. It could be maybe she's getting out of a situation and she doesn't want to just be out here giving her body away when she's confused about where she is. It could be a number of things, but men will internalize that and go off. I'ma still call you, still text you, still no. Don't,
mm-hmm.
if I tell you don't contact me, that includes Facebook and Instagram.
Ooh.
That's just, what I'm saying, that's just what it is. And so I think it's a struggle. And don't get me wrong, I think sometimes women struggle with that as well.
Yeah.
When the dude say it's over, girl, it ain't over till I say it's over. You got something like that too.
Yeah.
So I think, consistently, as a whole, there is a struggle, but there's a difference to me when you've been in a relationship and emotionally attached to someone in comparison to just trying to get to know somebody. If I have no connection with you, bro, leave me alone if I ask you.
Yeah.
Now, I understand the uncoupling. I understand the separation anxiety when you're accustomed to being around someone and now they're no longer there. That is some real stuff.
Yep.
Separation anxiety. Oh my goodness. However, comma, I'm gonna need you to leave me alone. And I may not be strong. So if I call you, please don't answer.
Ooh.
If I text you, please ignore me. Because I may not be strong. But
But
it's a struggle.
see, that part honestly, Allie, speaks to how many men are getting into relations with women truly thinking about what's best for that woman, including when they are confronted with the idea that they might not be best in this moment for that woman. So like that will require, for a man to be able to ignore you calling, like, okay, she said she wanted this. I want to honor what she says she needs, regardless of how weak she might be in this moment, and taking yourself out of it. And I definitely think that that's something that I have experienced men struggling with, because a lot of them want to be saviors. A lot of them want to feel useful. But that's something that I felt like Aaron didn't struggle with. Consistently, his words and his actions aligned. He consistently did things that was 100% in the best interest of Karen, for who she, not only who she currently was, but who he saw her as and who she spoke to wanting to be.
Yes. And that, I'm so glad you said that because I was literally thinking about the episode when he busted in and saw her and Zach. And she told him, I know that you're hurt by this. He said, no, I'm not hurt by this. I just wanted more for you. I said, take me now. Please take me now. I'm not even hurt. Like you, this man truly, I believe, even in season 2, I believe he was in love with Karen. This man just walked in on you having sex with your ex, someone he knows that your love for this man ran deep. And he's telling you it didn't even hurt me. I just wanted more for you because of how I see you and what you told me that you wanted, the type of man that you want. I just wanted more for you, Karen. I said, baby, and
take me to the king.
Take me. Which encompasses everything that we're saying about Aaron. Because if anybody else would have walked in on that, oh my God,
there would have been some smoke in the city,
baby.
There would have been some slow singing and flower bringing.
Smoke. There we go. Because what? He walked in and sat down at the shampoo bowl, and he messed up your stuff,
child.
Baby.
That's a black king right there.
And that goes to Aaron, support without expecting any type of reward. Any type of reward. Like I want more for you. And there was no expectation. His thing was, I just want to love you.
Yeah.
I just want to love you. That's it. You don't have to. And I think about, there were so many moments where he had to deal with Zach being a reoccurring fixture in Karen's life.
Yep.
And even his desire to be there for Karen, you don't have to do nothing. I don't have to sleep with you. You don't even have to offer me friendship. If you could just allow me to just be in your presence. That's it. That's all I want. I want to make sure you're okay. I'll come and feed you. I'll come cook for you. I just want to be.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm like, that is hard to find. That is so hard to find, to have a man in your life that's not expecting something from you. And also, he wasn't. I know Karen was going through her stuff, but I don't think that Aaron was expecting anything more of Karen that she actually couldn't give.
Right, that part. But then going to the whole support without expecting some type of reward for it. This is like, I think, a tentpole for like the characteristics that really set Aaron apart, because when you get down to it, a lot of these men have been moving very transactionally, and to have him as a character this isn't a transaction. I'm showing up for you because I believe myself to be a great guy who has found the woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with, who happens to be in a season where she needs some more nurturing, she needs some more watering, she needs some more additional support. So because I know that I'm in it for the long haul, because I know that God sent you to me, because I know I'm going to do all of these things, and you don't have to give me anything. Hell, you are giving me flack. You are giving me dismissal. Sometimes you are giving me disrespect. But because I know the God that I serve and I know the man that I am, I'm going to still be this person. Y'all will never, ever get me to get on a train of like, Aaron is crazy and Aaron is stupid. Aaron is ignorant. Aaron is da-da-da. No, Aaron is a man. A grown-ass man with a strong sense of self, full confidence, a job, and a fear of God. Y'all need to get like him, if you ask me.
Ooh, get like him. Pray for somebody like him. Pray for somebody like him, because that is a man right there. And one thing I do love about Aaron, I believe that he is a direct he's a violation to a lot of people, because he shows a lot of women what they've never had. It's almost like,
is that why they always on his damn neck and always trying to play him out like he's some dummy?
It has to be, because that's the only reason why I can think of a woman who would even compare him to Zach and would still choose Zach. That's why we get the women who say Aaron is boring. He's boring. He's boring. You may not like his personality, and that's fine. That doesn't make him boring.
Right.
It doesn't make him boring.
Baby, you have settled and found comfort in chaos. That's why he's boring.
That's the thing. Comfort in chaos and drama and confusion. And baby, I don't want it. I gave that life up in my early 20s. I don't want it.
Released it.
I don't want it.
Released it back to the gates of hell, where it returned from where you came from.
Please, quickly.
Give me boring. Give me peaceful. You will catch me on any random day walking in a park with my dog, sitting in a park writing in my journal with my dog, looking at a great sunset at the beach with my dog. Like, I went to the library just yesterday to make sure I had some good books on my nightstand, because I'm like, wait a minute, Erica, you're not reading anything right now. This is probably why you also feel a little bit off. Let's ground yourself and find a good fiction and nonfiction to be into in the moment. But see, some of y'all don't know what that life is like, and I pray you find it. But until you do, you ain't gonna shame my ass in for having it. Let me find a well-adjusted, healthy, emotionally intelligent, emotionally stable, effective, communicating ass man to just slide right on into the piece that I have created for my damn self. Baby, I'm good.
Great. And you know what's so interesting? If Aaron was a man on Instagram, he would be the man that all the women would be going after. Girl, you follow him? Girl, he's the
one with the morning routine. He the one with the inspirational quotes.
Inspirational quotes.
He's the one that seems a little bit mystical because he don't get online and speak. He just kind of give you the visuals to go. You ain't wrong.
That's him. He's him. He's him.
He is definitely him.
Yes.
And then last but not least, as it pertains to ranking the qualities, because y'all, we still in the section of talking about what's the qualities that set Aaron apart from the men, in case y'all need a refresher. It's his emotional intelligence and his communication. His consistency between his words and his actions. His support without expectation of reward. And the final one, it's his professional competence without a need for dominance. This man has a job that we don't have to see him flexing about the damn job at every turn. Gary does it. Tony does it, and he might have did it a little bit unintentionally with skirting Danny's ass to the front of the line for that managerial program, but he did it. When Zach was going to that goofy ass office playing solitaire, he was screaming about, I got a business, I'm a businessman, I got things to do, while playing solitaire down at the damn job. Most of the men do it. He don't need to do that. It's no flexing with him, because he just is. He just oozes him.
He does. Man, he doesn't have to talk about his money, because we all know, for those who, have, temporary amnesia like Gary, we all know that Aaron is banking. So, we get to all the people. Well, Karen didn't want Zach until she knew he had money. She's with a multi-millionaire.
Hello.
What Zach got is chump change compared to the man who's about to take care of her and make her his wife.
Ooh.
She ain't sweating them 2 little millions that Zach got, and now he ain't even got it.
Oh,
This man is, building generational wealth.
yep.
That's what she got over here, and I love the fact that he doesn't equality. He talk about that because people always, well, we never see him at work. We don't have to. We don't have to.
Yep.
We know the type of man that go to work every day. That's Aaron.
Hello.
The one that's gonna make sure his woman's taken care of. That's Aaron. So it doesn't have, as they say, what oh God, what's the saying? What's understood doesn't need to be explained.
Hello.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
I love that. So do you feel like, and now that we didn't set all the qualities that set him apart?
Yes.
Not me asking questions I know the damn answer to. How is he? I was about to say, do you feel like he elevates Karen's storyline and character development? Of course he does. How do you feel like he elevates her character development and storyline?
One of the ways I believe that Aaron does that is, I believe that his presence consistently puts Karen in a position to do a retrospect within a retrospective look within herself, emotionally, physically, spiritually. We were able to see Karen do things that would not have happened if he was not a presence in her life. We were able to know certain things about Karen, about her grandmother, how her grandmother raised her in the church when Aaron was doubting God or saying that he wasn't talking to God in that moment. I'm not gonna lie to you, Karen was the last person I expected to give him advice about communicating with God. Because where this came from?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so now it's like his presence allows the audience to get some untold information about the character of Karen.
Yep.
And we saw her also go through moments of where, okay, I'm gonna abstain from sex. It's gonna be hard, but you're worth it. And I'm gonna try it. And I'm gonna really try. So elevating her to a place of where her flesh isn't dominant in her life. Like she can call things under subjection. I love that, about his presence in her life and what it did to her storyline. And there was just so many ways. A woman acts different when we're loved properly.
Ooh.
So we were able to see a different side of Karen when she was really all in with Aaron in season 2. Even when she went out with the girls to the all girls night or whatever, she was just so happy because this man offered her money. She was just happy.
Yep.
Just in a place of pure bliss. The fact that I would really love it if you're here when I get back. And she caught herself and he was like, really? And she said, yeah. I mean, I love coming home to you. Like, what is happening? So even the layers of uncomfortability and what she did not initially start out to feel for him, I believe it was like the initiation of this flower blooming with Karen. So he just elevated her in so many ways that for me as an audience member was just so beautiful to watch.
And diving into that, when it comes to the character development piece, going hand in hand with what you just said, it's like when we're first introduced to her, it's her and Zach, and it seemed like, okay, you cheated and you gave her something and she finally fed up. Okay, cool. But then we get to the like arguing and the back and forth. It's like, okay, girl, well, who actually is wrong? Not that necessarily that we immediately went to like Zach is right, because that's not what I'm saying. But as an audience member, you're looking at this character and you're like, okay, so then what is it about him? What's going on with you? And the introduction and the growth with Karen and Aaron in relation to one another gave the audience the peek into the development that was happening for the character, in that, oh wait, if she is being loved properly, she does respond differently. She's not just bitter. She's not just angry. She's not just this woman who can't seem to get it right in relation. It actually might be Zach, because when you add you remove this man and insert this man, you get a different result. Okay. And then not only do you get a different result, now you see a woman who has gone from like just the space of like fed up and tired and seemingly hopeless and maybe grieving a dream, because we meet her wanting to be a mom and then trying to get checked for another STD yet again, to moving into modesty, to checking in with the Lord, to signing up for abstinence, for deciding to, whether slow or not, walk into this new direction where she is honestly scared shitless. Because where did you come from, sir? I never met a man like you. I never met a man that operates like you, that talks like you, that has the aura that you actually have. But you know what? I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. It provided the character development to show that this is a brave woman. This is a strong woman. She's just, of course, a flawed woman, but there's still so much more there. And most of the bravery for me comes from her being scared as hell, but willing to do so many things anyway, and putting herself out there, wearing her heart on her sleeve, and just going for it.
Oh, you said a lot, girl. That touched me. Because you know, Aaron and Karen are they're just so worth it and so deserving. And just everything, even the things that she found out, because I remember she did have a certain perception where she thought that, oh, he's just so good, he's so perfect, he doesn't do anything wrong. And when he revealed to her that he was an alcoholic and he hadn't had a drink in years, and she was like, oh no, she pulled that bottle back so quick, like, you not gonna fall on my watch. I don't think so. So just those things too, but it made her look at him differently, not in a bad way, but it made her look at, wow, like, if restoration can happen to him, if reconstruction and transformation can happen to him, I can experience this, as well. Because he's telling Karen, I was alcoholic, I did other drugs, and taking care of kids that are not biologically mine, and so on and so forth. It does change your perception of who you are connected to, and I think that just even bloomed and made their union tighter, even though she is definitely amongst everyone else a flawed woman, but it still, to me, didn't take away from their journey.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I feel like with the real richness, Karen, while she is spending a good amount of the screen time that we've seen her in the universe across these 8 seasons, a good amount of screen time was given to her decoupling journey with Zach and her struggle with that. The addition of Aaron and the context that provide an additional pressure. All for me, it was pressure in a good way, because he was constantly that, like, safer choice, that healthier choice, that positive choice, as she's making a bunch of negative, falling into negative cycles and things that she know, and running back to safety of, like, the chaos that she had found comfort in. Without him, we would not get the character that we have today in Karen.
Absolutely. 100%. I think we got all our
yeah, because that for me is why he really works as a character. And
yes,
next to all of the quote unquote good guys who are falling flat as good guys, because news flash, everyone, good guys are out. Good guys are out. Great, you're now with the want to be regarded as good. They have very ill intentions. They surface level or very shallow and vapid in any of their damn behaviors and thoughts. They're transactional. They're narcissistic. Get you a great guy, babes. Savannah, we don't want no more good guys. The good guys are the ones who are pulling the wool over our eyes. No more good guys. Great or better.
Guys. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we saw what that good guy did to Savannah.
Hello.
And speaking of, those characteristics, don't they sound like somebody in this Sistas universe? They want to be a good father. They want to be a good man. They want to be a good businessman. They want to be a good co-parent. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. There's a struggle there.
Who are we talking about, Allie?
Who could we possibly be? I think his name starts with a letter that ends the alphabet. think it's the last letter of the maybe Zach.
Is it Zachary?
I think it's Zach.
Oh my gosh, Zachary
I think it's
is a
Zachary.
narcissist. Zachary is an unhealed, emotionally unintelligent, emotionally unstable, poor communicating ass non-protector.
Y'all listening? Y'all just laugh. Just laugh. Y'all know that was funny. That was a great intro. Y'all just laugh. Enjoy the moment. I know me and Erica just pissed some of y'all off right now. Y'all want to exit out of here. Stay.
Sit
and just
down.
laugh and let's just enjoy this moment. Because that was funny. That was funny. So we are here with Zachary Taylor, who has been coined the potential versus the performance.
Ooh.
And that is the perfect description for Zachary Taylor. Potential versus performance. Because, my God.
I think, honestly...
So we're...
Well, Allie, you said you have been known to say, friend, that you ain't seen the potential from the jump. Now, I will be... Are you still on that? Do you still feel that way?
Okay. There was a moment, even though I did not like him, there was a moment where I wasn't mad.
Okay.
If Karen got back with him once she was a healed, but when they were, two healed individuals. Okay. That was very early. Okay. That was very early, probably like episode 1.
Got it.
But I did feel that way, because even though I think Zach is an a-hole, I genuinely believe that he definitely loves Karen based on what he know love to be.
Exactly.
It's exactly very genuine. That. Very genuine, very real.
It is exactly that. And for me, I immediately gravitated towards the Zach character. So it's so wild to be, 5 years out from season 1? Mm-hmm. To be 5 years out and to have people like, you just hate Zach and you just never liked him and you just this and this. When I tell y'all I dated a Zach, when I tell you there was a season in my life where a man just like Zach was the love of my life. Hear me when I say this. I literally dated, loved down, rode for a Zach. Okay? So when I saw this man on screen, I knew the struggle, I knew the love, I knew the reasoning, I knew so much about what Karen was going through before the scenes even started to roll out. And I was just literally watching my relationship in my 20s play out again on screen. And I had all of the empathy in the world. And I immediately started to assign the same potential that I saw in my Zach to the Zachary that we were seeing on screen. Because honestly, I feel like it's innate for Black women, especially when you are in relation to Black men and y'all both come from similar backgrounds or come from the hood or whatever. Like, that's my story. To see the best, like the way that you want to see the best for yourself, you see the best in your partner and you're like, well, you could do this, you could do that, it could be this. And it's so easy when you're in it, and when you when you have set yourself up on a mission of loving a person through all of their junk, regardless of what they got going on, you're just, laser focused on what you can do and how you can change it because you are 2 times better. Not me spilling water on myself, child. You 2 times better. You want to, in a lot of ways, Black women want to prove their worth and prove their value. And that comes out in how we love our men. It made so much sense. So when we first meet Zach, the potential is there. It's clear for me. And I'm like, oh, he gonna get it together. And he gonna love you, girl. He don't know how to love you yet. But he gonna figure it out, and he's loving you the best that he can, and that's the biggest part that that I really related to the most, because in retrospect and looking back on my particular relationship, I know for a fact it was fucked up. I know it was toxic. I know it was problematic. I know that was not cool. But I also know that man loved me the best that he knew how in the season that he was in that relationship.
Yeah, I agree with. And see, my perspective is different, or my lived experience is different, which is probably why I just did not like Zach from the very beginning, because I was the girl who was raised in the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? Never lived in the hood a day in my life. And the guy that I fell head over heels in love with was, you know what I'm saying, straight from that life. And it was very different, the contrast, because like his family would ask, like, and I was in college at the time, so the fact that he had a girlfriend in college, his family was like, why the hell you with him? And it wasn't even that, he wasn't no drug dealer, like he wasn't like that. He didn't have a job. He did suffer from like seizures and things of that nature, so with certain things he could not do. But he was a videographer, he was a producer, he did music, and I'm very attracted to men who are, you know, musically inclined and things like that. And so it was just like his mom was like, son, why she with you? And I'm thinking to myself, well, why are they not esteeming you? Like, what is the problem? Like, you can't have somebody in college, like, you can't have that. Like, that was weird to me. I think I was when we first started dating, I was 19 years old. And I just could not understand like that mindset, because I never had my family say anything, you know, like that to me. To me, it was triggering.
Yeah.
Like for him, like they may, I don't understand. I didn't understand that. But, you know, he didn't have much. I was the girl that had, you know, that had. So when we went out, I more so was paying for everything. And I didn't take it as, oh, he just is no good, nigga who.
Right.
He didn't have it. Like he literally did not have it. And so there's a difference for me. Like when I looked at Zach, this man had a job. You work at the airport. You ain't making chump change. You may not be able to take care of Karen financially, but you can at least provide. He wasn't even doing that.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing that got me was that, like, you know, you want to be this, you want to be that when the show first opened, but you were not even putting gas in her car, which you would drive it at times. Yep. You weren't paying for anything, because what we found out was you gave her half of the deposit for that apartment and you ain't paying another bill since. Ooh. I'm sorry, what? Gonna lie to you, Erica, I'm still stuck on. I have never gotten over the fact that when you know, Fawn did what she did and Karen came back from the hospital, Zach bought himself something to eat and ain't buy her nothing to eat. I'm still pissed off about that. Like, just had a traumatic experience, my dude, and you ain't buy me nothing. But that goes back to even from the very beginning, you know, him, you know, claiming to be somewhat of a provider, and then the financial instability. It's always been there.
Yeah. So that's why we dubbed him the potential versus performance, because initially he set up to like potentially be able to climb his way up the ladder at the airport, show up and fight all his demons, deal with all of the childhood trauma that's on his ass that he can't seem to beat. And that's the reason why he cheats. And that's the reason why he's unstable. And that's the reason why he's inconsistent and unloyal. Versus the performance where, and then money, because money becomes this whole thing. If I had money, I would do right. You get money. You now have a new woman, and it's lip service. Yes, you have the duplex, but aside from that, you have not grown emotionally. You have not grown mentally. You have not really grown physically. Like, you're not growing in career. All of what you have is luck. All of what you have is the blessings bestowed upon you by Daddy Tyler Perry in the writer's room. It is nothing that your character has actually worked for and grown through, and fully claimed on his own back or with his own two hands. So you are constantly beating us over the head as an audience member, talking about you a provider and talking about you a leader and being jealous, and when Fatima's stepping up in certain ways, as if that title was automatically supposed to be bestowed upon you just because you're a man. Again, no, y'all, we're living in a patriarchal society, so that's why men think this way. I don't have to earn the position of leader. I am the leader because I walked in the room with the penis. No, sir. That's not how this works.
And And even tying it into that, like the next thing that we're discussing is professes devotion while making self-centered choices. And it's like everything from Zach comes from that place. It is about me. I'm doing what's best for me. I say that I'm devoted to this situation here or to this thing here, but if something else catches my eye, he's easily movable.
Yeah.
He's easily shakable, not founded or grounded in many of his decisions. He's just he is like water. He's so fluid. He just go with the flow. And when I think about like the self-centered choices, one of the main things for me, because I really felt Fatima in this moment, even though I understood, they created the situation not to be the best, for him to get full custody of Michael, it just wasn't even a conversation he had with her. It's just like this what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what? When Fatima literally just said, which I thought was interesting, she didn't want to be a mother. She didn't want to deal with that right now. And now you're telling me you about to go get custody of your son, and we haven't had. Not that I'm going to stop you, but we haven't even had a conversation. I don't even know what's going on at this moment. Everything is about that. When he want to show up to see Karen, there is no call, no. You just pop up. You just pop up. There is no thinking. There is no nothing. It is all about him, and it has been proven time after time after time. A lot of the things, I don't know, we want to cross reference Zatima as
Yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is just what Zach wants to do, regardless of I'm gonna put someone going back to the devotion part. Fatima is, Zach's fiance. You are going to devote your forever to this person. Y'all have a 3-year-old son. Well, you have a 3-year-old son that she's raising now as her own, and now she's pregnant, and you would do something that is so self-centered to go beat up your brother, land in jail, and potentially put Fatima in a position to be a single mom with not only one but two children, one who happens to be a special needs child. So when I think about things like that, Zach, he's gonna always do, until we see change. He's always going to do what he wants to do, regardless of how it may affect anybody else.
And it's like, what's so insidious? And yes, I'm using that word. What's so insidious about it though is like, take the action of beating up Jeremiah. That in and of itself was a self-centered choice. But then you also have the lead up where everybody in your world is conspiring to handle you because they know exactly how emotionally unstable you are. They know exactly how mentally you haven't done the work to deal with whatever little thing so that you can better handle certain things like this as it pops up in your life. So Fatima is lying, she's asking everybody around us around them to lie, and then when you find out about the lie, you mentally and emotionally punish her. You give a solid treatment. You got nothing but sass and this, that, and the third for her. And then you go on to do the action that they were trying to avoid you doing to begin with that would leave her as a single mother. So it's like you come up with you take it to the upteenth power when it comes to the self-centered decisions, but you're supposed to be devoted, you're supposed to love her, you're supposed to be a protector and all that, but then you make sure that them things hit hard, because not only do you do the irrational ass act, but you apply the emotional and the mental abuse before that happens. And yes, y'all, it is abuse.
It is. It is. And we have to look at that for what it is. I think because Zach, because his character, I guess it's supposed to be somewhat of comedic relief in some sense. Honestly, I think they just have. To me, I think Zach had more of a serious tone about himself in earlier seasons.
Yes,
To me, he almost comes off like as a joke now,
he
and I
definitely
and I
does.
do hate that for his character. Um, but it's like that is exactly, what it is. You have people, Zach, please don't. Zach, stop. Zach, this. Even going back to him and Karen, you know, self-centered decision. She's weak. She's with Aaron. He ain't giving her none. She is a sexually experienced woman who wants to be intimate with the man that she's dating, but she knows she can't do that. Here comes Zach. Shoot, Zach, please stop. Zach, go. Zach, please don't do it. And because he knows crying is what gets her every time. All he got to
Mm.
do is shed some tears, and that's a wrap. She gonna give in every single time. And I think it was the fact that she asked him not to. Zach, stop. Zach, please. Zach didn't care. I didn't think this was gonna happen. Yes, you did.
Ah,
Yes, you did. You knew exactly
you
what was
hoped
gonna
it
happen when you
would.
started them crocodile tears.
You
You
kind of
knew that.
hoped it would, honestly.
You did. You did.
Dang, I'm
Because
trying to
you were in your
find it. I don't
feelings.
remember when. Allie, when the hell was that? Because I'm trying to find that and put it on screen. I like to piss people off with bringing that scene up.
Oh, that's it. Oh, baby, that was season 1.
Okay.
Season 1, it had to be like episode 19 or 20.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
checking.
like 19.
Keep
Yeah.
going. I'm checking.
Because even in that moment, and we gonna try to play it for y'all. Because even in that moment, we had to deal with and it could be after that. I'm sorry, that wasn't season 1. That was season 2.
Okay.
Season 2. Season 2 around episode 20. And even in that moment, I think Zach had every intention on having sex with Karen because when he came to her salon, who was there? She was coming from the back with Aaron, and Aaron asked like, "Do you want me to stick around?" And she was like, "No, I'll see you at home." And Zach was like, "Huh, home?" Even though he was living with
I
Fatima.
found
It
it.
was about what he wanted. It
Found
was
it.
about what you found it.
Yes. Keep going. It was about what
has to be
what he
said.
wanted. Let me get that. Let me get
Yeah,
it
it was
queued
about
up.
what he wanted. He knew. Because I think one thing, and it's sad that it has gone on this long, but I think that, Zach knew that sex was the Velcro that kept him and Karen together.
Mm.
Because even when he got done and Karen was like, what is this hole you got on me? But before we got to that, he was like, maybe he was like, when Aaron came in or saw them, he was like, well, maybe he learned something. It's like, oh, you joking right now?
Ooh.
You can joke in this moment. It's almost as if I'm glad he caught us.
Mm.
I'm glad he caught us. Yeah. Maybe he learned something. Maybe I taught him something. Like, who thinks that?
Okay.
Zach.
I got it. Let's okay.
Good. Should've.
Are you serious? Are you just gonna stay
This
here the
Zach
whole time?
was so much more serious. Even in his conflict and contention with Aaron, it felt like he was serious about fighting for Karen and like seriously hit with the idea of like, oh wait, before I stepped out on her, but we got back together, she now found somebody. Not only did she find somebody, she found somebody that's better than me. Hold up. Wait a minute. So he moved with a lot more seriousness. And though he, at this time, was in relations with Fatima, he still was very cognizant and mindful about his love for Karen and even conflicted, like verbally conflicted. And I would argue that confliction didn't leave as quickly as we thought it did. I think that y'all in the audience and y'all on Twitter and y'all on Instagram saw these two light skins together and decided to stand them. And then the Tyler saw the popularity and moved accordingly. But in all honesty, maybe the Zach character was robbed of the true arc that he could have gone on to grieve and release the love that he had for Karen in a real way if he wasn't shoved into a more exclusive relationship with Fatima, where he's kind of forced to kind of like act like he don't love this lady.
Yes, I think that the character of Zach was robbed of that character arc of his journey just as a character, because for one, even though I don't care for Zach, my thing is he still deserves a well told story.
Yeah.
His character still deserves that. And even after this moment here, when it is where they get the big supermarket scene and it's revealed what happened.
Karen,
and
do you think I would do that to you?
Zach even lied to Fatima. I went over there to talk to her. She started kissing me. No, you didn't even tell the truth about the situation. Like, you literally
did tell the truth. And we
ridiculous.
got the tape. Actually, before we move on, I'm gonna run it back because look at this nigga. Look at how big his mouth is open. Allie, Zachary, please. This is how you was coming in season 2. So for all of y'all in the damn, let me stop talking. Let me say this and then I'm going to play it. For all of y'all in the damn comments who want to cry about how Karen can't let Zach go and that Karen has always been a problem, this man almost dislocated his jaw in this moment. Let that sink in.
Sending me when you came back, and I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't help with the rent. So yes, it hurts, but I'm happy. I'm happy that you found somebody that could take care of you the way I couldn't, because I couldn't make you happy. But
this is it hurts. It hurts. It hurts that you believe I would do that to you. And I haven't heard this, y'all, because I can't hear it on my end. I can only play it through this. It hurts that you think that I would do that to you. It hurts that I can't provide for you. I want to be able to da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da and take care of you. Yeah. Can't you tell? Did he say I love you in this moment? Can't you tell I love you?
He did say, he told you,
Okay, let me reset real quick because, you know, YouTube and copyrights.
Yeah, we won't need that. But yeah, he told her he loved her in that moment. How much it hurt him that he couldn't provide for her.
So I feel like shit.
Child. Wait, let's get to the part that really be pissing y'all off. But he did it, not me. So fight with Zachary Taylor about it.
I've always loved you.
I don't know how people could have watched this scene and still go on and say this is all Karen's fault.
Girl.
Please go. Can't nobody.
Because who hand went under the chin and brought them closer to themselves? Zach did. Zach did. I don't even see how people can watch this scene or watch interactions between Karen and Zach and say there is no chemistry, because Ebony and DeVal have amazing, so much so that it makes me sick to my stomach how amazing their chemistry.
Yes,
oh
Lord.
My God, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. And I'm like, that's gonna be pissing people off too. So they ain't got no chemistry. Yes, they do. Like, stop it.
Hella chemistry.
Stop the magic, okay?
And love, baby, the passion.
Always turning up.
You can sense it. For those who go back and watch season 2, episode 20, please. Please go back and watch it. And to everyone also, but Karen didn't want him until she found out he had money. Zach didn't have money in this situation right now. When she went to the girl, she told them, even Aaron said that maybe we should be together. And I think I want to try, even though I know it ain't going to work. That's coming from, that's the Lulu, but she honestly, the Lulu.
Honest,
she knows She knows it ain't going to work. I want to try it again. I know it ain't going to work, but hey, let's see what happens. That's where Karen was.
It feels good.
Yes, it feels good. That's where she was. But I'm like, yeah, this was all Zach. They was on them darn emotions.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and chill. But you know, since we talking about the men, we gotta come with the receipts.
We got to come with
receipts, proof, timelines.
We got to come with it. We got to come with it.
Oh,
it is what it is. It is what it is. And that's also going, and this scene here leads up to how his inconsistency affects Fatima and Karen. Well, he got Karen pregnant. That is a forever situation that Fatima has to deal with. You know, going back to the woman that he literally told Fatima, I don't know why I love her so damn much. I want you and her. Baby, that would have been my exit so fast, because ain't nobody penis that good that you about to tell me you don't know why you love your ex so much and you want the both of us? I'm sorry, excuse me? Yeah, I'm going to need you to head out. I'm going to need you to go. I mean, he was honest. I'll give him that part. But ain't no way in the world.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, like, there's so many contradictions with the Zachary character, which is probably the underlying thing of why, one, his character works for the contradictions, because I do believe that aside from like where we're at now in most recent seasons, because he does feel like a caricature of himself, he does feel less serious. There are men like Zach walking around to this day. So the character works in reference to the conflict and all of that. However, the never coming out of the potential stage, perpetually stuck there, like an arrested development in, all of this potential, but you're performing, I'm a good man, I'm a provider, I'm a this, I'm a that, consistently verbalizing growth without ever really showing any growth. It's like, is the growth in the room with us, mister?
Right. And then there's a group of fans who don't care.
Yeah.
Like, he is like, Zach gets a pass to just tell us what he's doing good. Anybody else, they don't want to hear that about. No, we ain't seen this. We ain't seen Karen in the hospital. You know, all the doctors, all that stuff we saw. That quickly changed because she was always up in the darn doctor's office in the darn room somewhere. We ain't seen Fatima do nothing, but she gets a pass not to do that.
Yep.
Same way with Zach, he gets a pass not to do that. He could bring up Aaron's, deceased ex-wife every time he's in his presence, and he gets a pass for that. No, your jaw should be wired shut the first time you said it.
Period.
The very first time it came out your mouth. But Zach is able to disrespect people. He's able to do that, and it consistently goes back to how his inconsistency affects either Fatima and or Karen, or them both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It just does all the way around. It just, it's just what happens. And then, you're dealing with somebody who's really not being real to himself, which goes back to them not giving, to me, as we stated earlier, Zach the opportunity to really grieve his relationship, the fall or the demise of his relationship with Karen, because it did affect him in many ways. It affected him, and they only like touched on it briefly, because the whole entire time he was messing with Fatima before they made it official, he talked about Karen every time they were together, pretty much.
Yep.
So much so that she had to tell him, I don't want to hear about your ex. Too much.
And the crazy thing is the character being put in a position to not fully go on a grieving journey, which I still stand 10 toes down on. Like, we might have watched Karen do some wild things, but Miss Mama was able to go through the whole process of grief. And that's why she's able to be at a place of release right now. And Zach had to stop halfway through because he's in this relationship. And then what this person in this relationship with him requires of him. But speaking to how it affected him, and then also how he goes on to affect his fiance, it leaves you to wonder as the audience member how much of this love that you have for Fatima is actual love, and how much of it is you trying to prove a point. You're trying to prove that you're not the bad guy. You're trying to prove that you're not the boy. You're trying to prove that, I got some money. Now I got my own place. It was not me all along. How much of that is in the back of your mind? And how much of it is you competing with the love of your life, the former love of your life, because that's the narrative right now.
Mm-hmm.
All of that to me is still on the table.
And it's very real. And it's very present, because I think it was Sistas, but it was an episode where he was talking to Fatima about how Karen used to make him feel so bad when he didn't have. Like, she would make me feel so bad. She would give me, like, all the time. And I'm thinking, why is it every time you talk about Karen, it comes with such a when you're around Fatima, there's a negative connotation surrounded with Karen by Karen when you bring her up. But then when you're in Karen's presence, you have a different dynamic with her. It's very different. Even before she got pregnant, it was almost as if, as you stated, I'm doing this to prove a point. I'm doing this because things started shifting once he found out that Aaron had money. When he looked him up and realized, this ain't no regular round the way dude. This dude got paper. So much so, Karen, can you wait for me? Don't get serious about him. Wait for me. I'ma change. So everything that Zach was doing was for Karen, because I'm coming back to you, and when I come back to you, I'm gonna be straight. And I think that is an inconsistency in dealing with women, because men will do that. They think, well, I ain't got money. When I get money, we gonna be good. But money doesn't change your character
At all.
Money doesn't change your ability to communicate with me. Money doesn't change the fact I don't even know where I stand with you. Money doesn't change any of those. And Karen was very um open about what she wanted and how Zach didn't part up, and it had nothing to do with money.
Yep.
Out of everything she stated, one thing was I want someone to help me pay bills. Everything else was things that Zach was gonna have to do the work to do. And unfortunately, because the writers have written him where he don't have to do the work,
Yep.
every woman that he is attached to, not every woman, everybody that he is attached to, but more specifically Fatima and Karen, will always be in a place of inconsistency because he will not do the work.
Yeah.
And even with Karen, and I know we go through this a lot, we discuss this a lot. I do, and I know I'm gonna piss some people off, but it's okay. I do not think he's over her.
Me either.
You know, Zach, and I always say Zach did what a lot of men do. When you ain't got no place to go, and a woman has opened up her house to you, you gonna go, and you feel like your penis is payment. Long as I give it, hey, I got some place to stay. And initially, that's what that was. People don't want to acknowledge that that's what Fatima was to him in the beginning. Yeah, he found her attractive. Yeah, she was beneficial, but she's letting me stay here as long as I, give her that good.
And for a lot of the
This
men who, for a lot of the men who haven't done the work and don't even acknowledge that the work exists, honestly, they grow up feeling like and creating that value system in themselves, like outside of women and how women respond to it. A lot of men lead with their penis. If all else fails, dick her down. And Zach has definitely moved like that. The inconsistencies are mostly highlighted to me with the very real discrepancy between genuine growth and then very clear regressions, because I'm not going to go and say that Zach has not grown at all. The problem is he has regressed, I would say, at least 5 to 7 times more than he has actually grown, which makes it very hard to deduce where there was actual growth.
Yes.
I think the first 2 seasons, we were watching a man bump up against his insecurities, bump up against his inadequacies, bump up against societal pressures, bump up against a desire to be something that he could not even fully visualize as a reality for him. Similar to Karen, in reference to the man that she winds up, moving to, she doesn't even believe that this type of man actually exists until he's in front of her. Zach is very much so struggling with becoming a man that he has never even seen exist, right? And to me, there are so many pockets and nuggets of and pushes for him to grow, and he has little moments of taking steps. But I believe once we get into the Fatima relationship and we solidify that, that's kind of where we completely abandon any other real growth. We just give him a ride or die that's going to fill up any holes that he actually has, regardless of how that sacrifice might show up for her and what that takes from her. And it's good enough that he's standing by her side looking good, dicking her down. He don't need any of the other things that he was going to be required to have if he was going to get back into a healthy relationship with Karen. And that should piss y'all off in the thought of it, y'all. Aside from Zach and Fatima look good together, when you really sit down and analyze the Zachary Taylor character, he does not have to have all of the things that Karen was lining him up to have if they were going to be in relationship. Now that he's in relationship with Fatima, that's sad.
It is, and that says a lot. And we get the pushback. Karen never spoke life to him. Karen always talked down to him. Karen did this. Karen did that. Fatima has said some wild things to Zach. She has said some, ooh, girl, really? She said some stuff to him, and it's just I can't do this anymore. I can't take this anymore. And so then you get with somebody who initially comes off as if, there are certain things that are not going to fly with me. And then being with Fatima, and as we have followed their journey, Fatima is almost as if she has no type of standard. So Zach can do whatever he wants to, which goes into your point of what Karen was setting Zach up to do was going to require change. It was going to initiate change. If you're going to be with me, these are the things that I need. And I'm not settling. I'm not taking anything from this. Fatima don't have no standard. Now, there is not everything Zach does. As she stated, you stuck with me. I ain't going nowhere. Okay, I bet I can do what I want to do. I can do whatever I want to do because I know you're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter if I disrespect you, your mama, your best friends. Caught all them bees to their face.
Oop.
I don't care. Told the girl parents he gonna come back and rob them. I know he was joking.
Yeah.
But it's like Zach, come on now.
Let's be for real.
Come on. Let's be for real. But it's like, yeah, he's just the character is stuck.
Yeah.
The character is just stuck. And as you stated, once he got with Fatima, the growth factor was no longer a priority. It just wasn't.
Hell, not even a priority, not a damn requirement anymore.
Facts.
When I think about even how I worded that, I'm just like, ew, this is y'all's king? Y'all don't love Fatima for real. Y'all don't love her.
No.
You think you love her. You don't love her.
They don't know. And that's just like, this is something extra how they went off on Crystal, where she talked about how toxic the relationship was between Fatima and Zach. They turned on her.
Yep.
It's like, what is wrong with y'all?
Something, child.
It was definitely something.
Something is definitely wrong with y'all. But then we are now at his role in creating storylines through his choices. Well, the women's storylines, how they are affected through all of his choices. Because as we mentioned at the beginning, in this patriarchal society, specifically with male identified women, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and say that Fatima Wilson is definitely a male identified woman now. She didn't start out that way. I don't understand.
She did not.
I don't know what's so special about Zachary Taylor. But okay, girl. That is what can happen. Like, all of this man's choices now become collateral damage in these women's lives, and they spend much of their time reeling and trying to rebound from the fallout of his decisions.
Yes. Every last one. It is so many. It's like it's hard to pick one. Trying to just narrow it down to just one. One from Karen, and one from
Fatima.
I'm thinking about with Karen. I'm thinking about when the fire happened at her salon, and the way that he responded, and not even just the response, but what happened after the initial response. The conversation that they had on the phone when Fatima walked in on the butt end of the conversation. Zach and Karen were talking like two teenagers in high school who were madly in love with each other.
Yep.
And it's like, people will say, well, Zach shouldn't talk to her like that because it's going to give Karen the wrong impression. Baby, he wasn't giving no wrong impression. He was giving the impression that he wanted
to give.
That he wanted to give the I think the desire or the benefit of knowing for whatever reason that this woman still desires you, wants you, because they even placated that all the way up until season 8 when Fatima told Zach, like Karen over you. Since when? I'm sorry, what? So they have allowed this narrative to go, to go on for so many seasons. He enjoyed it. His response it confirmed everything I've ever thought about Zach's dynamic feelings for Karen. Since when? Like, you offended? What you mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, so that decision alone affected both Fatima and Karen. Karen definitely had, false hope, high hope, that you gonna come over and you gonna give me, what I've been missing from you. And then you having Fatima over here, initiating Carmen San Diego and her detective skills by getting the tape from the darn coffee shop. Because you don't trust him. And he is giving you reasons, sis, not to trust him. And that's just one instance I could think about that affected them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that you go over and bust into Karen's home.
Child.
Don't look, my man don't want you. Good.
Did you ask your
That's
man
up for
that?
debate.
Are you sure?
Okay. That's up for debate. Fatima, it's up for debate, sis. It's up for debate. And he probably ain't gonna tell you the truth because he's scared of you.
Ooh. Mm. And honestly, like the more time we spend with these characters, the less I feel like Zach is actually scared of Fatima, and more I feel like he's scared of being alone. And Fatima is the best possible option post Karen. We see all the other women that he smashed and dashed with, the Heathers, the Belindas, but Fatima is quite literally the best behind Karen. So I feel like maybe it's less of him being scared of Thug Tima and more of him being scared to be forced to do the work that he is running from and being single if she walked away.
Yeah. And believe, it made me think about, we never did release the video, but when we heard DeVal talk about how Zach felt, when we talked about how Zach felt about what he feels like he elevated Fatima. And we both, it was so funny. The look that Erica and I gave, we gave it at the same time because we were so shocked that DeVal said what he said.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. But it's like he feels as if I've elevated Fatima. She ain't going nowhere. I got the money. I bought her dream car. It's like everything I wanted to do for Karen, I'm able to do for the woman that I'm with. And because I'm able to provide such luxuries, she's not going anywhere. And I wish we could see Zach really coming to the place of knowing it doesn't matter what you have. You can buy a woman all of these things. However, if you don't change and become the man that is necessary, but sadly, I believe where Zach is, he is all the man that Fatima wants.
And child, that's something we would have to unpack when we get to Fatima as a character, because I don't understand it.
Absolutely.
I quite literally do not understand, girl, how you went from autonomous, confident, a different man for each day of the week because that's what you chose. Zach decided to act funny. You can't pick and choose. Okay, cool. Go ahead to her. I got somebody 2 nights. How we went from that to where we're at now, I have no idea. Don't know how we got here, but we're here.
None. Absolutely none.
But we're here.
Absolutely none.
Child, we're going to have to go ahead and move on. However,
we got to move on. We got to move on to a man that came right from Zach's school of narcissism.
Ooh. This
man here is one that has caused a lot of black men to be in my DMs. Even I think the last live that we did for our Sisters Keeper, we had 2 of them to come into the chat.
Big man.
And, spew what they needed to spew. Oh, they were angry. Angry that how the audacity of a black woman to choose herself.
Ooh.
How dare she? That brings us to who we have rightfully coined as the manipulator.
Heavy
AKA
on it.
Heavy on it. AKA Rich. Some of y'all may like him. Some of y'all may not. But y'all know what me and Erica stand on it.
Hello.
I guess y'all know what me and Erica stand on it.
Richard Lawson. My divorce.
My divorce. All right. Baby.
Child, he gonna go into the Sistas Hall of Fame, honey. Because the way that this man moves, manipulates, disrespects, and dismiss one of the quote unquote most innocent characters within this damn universe is quite literally diabolical. It is. It'd have been a different story if you was running this game on Daniela. maybe you should have got with Daniela and Tony should have got with Sabrina. Because the master manipulation is bar none and trifling, honestly. Rich, the tactics, Ellie. I think what's so insidious about him is his multiple tactics for his manipulation, starting with the emotional manipulation through the past trauma that he has, and the quote unquote narratives of, oh, this is why my divorce and my I got a divorce, and oh, I don't want to get married again, but oh, for the right one, like, Ellie, you take it, because I can't stand this man. I cannot stand this man.
Well, I'm with you, because y'all know I can't stand big bald either. I despise this character. And I despise this character so much because he is such a real person.
Yeah.
That many women have come in contact with, who in the beginning it seems like, he's trying to be there for you. He, X, Y, and Z. However, the representative soon fades away and the real person emerges. And that's who we have gotten in this season of Sistas when it comes to Rich. The way that this man is able to manipulate Sabrina is absolutely wild. And he does it in ways that I think some people don't even recognize it as manipulation. And I could just off the top of my head, the first time when they were getting ready to engage in sex, and he stopped because he wanted to make sure that Sabrina did not forget to take her birth control pill. This woman is in her 30s, probably been taking birth control for the past 12, 13 years.
Hello.
I guarantee she doesn't need a reminder from you about her birth control because why? You don't want to use a condom. Hello. You don't want to get her pregnant. So much so that she had to stop, like, Rich, yes, like, I don't need you to do that. Oh, baby, I didn't mean nothing by it. Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
And everything after that follows suit. The condom came off, and you're concerned about this woman trapping you when it was something that you noticed and she didn't. And you didn't say anything
Not
to her about it, Rich. No, and that for me, pissed me off because it made me think about one of my homegirls. I think I shared it on here before. My homegirl, she was sexually active, but she wasn't experienced. And there are some women who can't tell the difference if a condom is on or if a condom is off. And then there are some women who could definitely tell because it feels different. I am one who could definitely tell when one on and when one is not. And my friend had no idea. When the situation is over and this is adult, so if you ain't scroll, she looks in the bed and it's like drenched, and she's trying to understand, how did this happen? 2 months later, she's pregnant with twins. Deadbeat. This man never gave her a dime, and I think her sons turned 17 this year, 17 or 18 this year. He never did nothing for them. So when I see men like this, and something that you coined very early, men like Rich are dangerous. Men like, because they come off nice. I'm not gonna say innocent, but I'm for you. I'm with you.
Good guys.
Absolutely. And that man, that thing turned really, really quickly. And then I was raised. I had with so many people in my house. I'm claustrophobic, so I don't want kids.
You don't want kids, but you want to have sex with no condoms. Okay. Manipulation. You see that Sabrina is a very passive woman. You see that this Sabrina is a very agreeable woman. So you preempt a lot of your interactions with putting her on the defense of like, oh, I'm making sure that you took your birth control. Oh, wait a minute. Are you trying to trap me? Wait a minute. Are you desperate? So that you put her in a headspace that she's overcompensating and trying to prove to you not, so that she stays in a space that she's malleable to whatever the hell it is that you got to say and whatever the hell it is that you want. Manipulation. No, This man is dangerous. He's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
And y'all don't want to see it until that man comes through like a wrecking ball, wrecking your goddamn life. You better peep it.
And that goes right into the next one with creating artificial relationship hurdles. This man was creating things that didn't even exist.
Yep.
You telling Sabrina things that did not even exist. off the top of my head, you ghost Sabrina because you saw her in the office with Dominique. You created your own narrative and responded by what you believed happened and not what was the reality. And Rich did that all the time. Then
Multiple
he shows
times.
back up in her office as if he did nothing.
How about then
With the big sad
I
puppy
can
dog
come back
eyes
here?
and toe constantly. With the, well, I didn't understand. Well, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, if you were not busy sashaying your ass out of every single room that you walked in, you would get context, because Sabrina, while being passive, while being agreeable, is also a very transparent and upfront woman. But you don't even give her, you so focused on manipulating her ass that you don't even give her the time of day to communicate what's going on in said circumstances that you are constantly barging into and then storming out of. Child.
Yeah. And it's, Rich is just, I can't stand him. Like, I really can't stand him. And this one is so important. Conditional support based on getting his way. And it almost made me think about the way you reward a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, if you do this, mommy will give you ice cream. So the child learns, like, my rewards is based on creating good behavior patterns.
Yep.
May not be real, but I'm going to do it because I know that there is a reward here. And so with Rich, certain things that Sabrina would reward him for is based on him being agreeable with it. If I agree, okay, yeah, cool. But if I have an issue, I'm going to respond, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum when I don't agree with what Sabrina is asking of me. Or I'm going to throw a temper tantrum if I don't agree with her decisions. And in throwing that temper tantrum, like most parents, baby, what's wrong? Baby, she does that. Mm-hmm. She's the pursuer. She's the chaser when he does these things. But he does it in a way, in my opinion, that is just so detrimental to confidence as a woman. Because what woman want to be running after her man all the time?
Hello?
I'm going to hurt your feelings. I'm going to say something that you probably don't like at times. My actions may not always be agreeable with you. However, it's in those moments that we communicate. Don't ghost me.
Yeah.
And that's just what, that's just what Rich does. He's so immature.
Very.
I'm just
very.
He's so immature in all his ways.
I agree.
I can't stand him. And as you stated, he knows the type of, and that's even worse when you know the type of woman that you or man that you have, and you feed off those. I don't want to call them weaknesses, but yeah, you feed off their weaknesses. She is a passive person, which is a part of her personality trait, and you feed off that. You play on that. I know Sabrina probably not gonna say nothing. I know, and you play on it.
Yeah.
Because she's not.
What are some of the moments that you feel like he shows glimpses of actually having potential? Because there was a time where I was like, okay, maybe Rich gonna work. Now, let's see.
There was a time. I want to say, and hopefully I'm not making this up in my mind, but I want to say there was a time when I remember he was talking to Sabrina because he's very professional forward, career driven. He wanted to open up several smoothie shops and building generational wealth, the things he saw for himself. And I remember, I believe there was a conversation Sabrina had, like, what's going to happen when I bring a child into this world. She was concerned about whether or not Rich would love that child. Like, what if something happened and I can't go pick up the child from school and you got to go get them? Because there's going to be inconveniences in your life.
Yep.
If and when I have this child. And he was just like, I'm a roll, because I love you, I'll love the child. And I wasn't buying it. But then again, I think at the time, before I knew all of this about this bastard, I said, you know what? I think he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because he loves Sabrina. I believe that when she has this child, he is going to be there like he needs to be. Whatever boundaries they create, that's what they create. But if Sabrina can't, do something for the child, I believe Rich would. Now,
To
but to
her.
me, those were glimpses of growth. Like that was a moment of growth.
Yeah.
Or potential.
Yeah. And honestly, I think now it's so hard to think back on the times of like seeing the potential because the toxic patterns came so full force and so consistent repeatedly. Every time you turn around, he's questioning her. Every time he turns around, he's wondering who is this and what is her motive for this. Even though Sabrina has communicated every step of the way what her intentions are, what her hopes are, what her timeline is, and how she wants to move in her life, he is second guessing her and criticizing her every single step of the damn way. And then when Dominique presents himself as a solution to a problem that he was not looking to actually solve, that's when it went into overdrive as it pertains to the toxic patterns.
Yes. And I think you said that so beautifully because it encompassed everything. Rich was unwilling to solve a problem that Sabrina had. He could have easily, said, "Hey, I know you don't want to have a child right now. I am more than willing to, give you my sperm." He wasn't trying to do that because he didn't want to be a father.
And that's his right.
Period.
That's his
And
right.
that is his right. And in the beginning, I know we both stood on that. Sabrina has every right to want to have children. She feels that that's a part of her purpose. Rich is a man who did not want children, and he has every right to not want to produce and not want to have, children. But when you're with someone who wants children, y'all got a lot to talk about. Because there's going to be compromises and things that you may not want to do because this woman that you're with decides to have a child. And what does that look like if Sabrina need him to do something? He say, "I ain't going to do it." Is he well within his, rights not to?
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to have kids in the first place. So I think like that duality there and that internal war. And I was like, "Sabrina, baby, leave him alone. Take your big hurt now. Get it out the way because this is not going to work. It's just
your
not
big
going to
hurt
work
now so that your ass is not coming down to the juice bar that you just bought a hoochie a smoothie yesterday with a big ass box of his goofy ass things that he probably never needed to receive back any goddamn way and running into him ramming it in Penelope's behind. You should have took your big hurt then so that you don't have this massive ass betrayal now.
Yes.
Child.
And speaking of all of that we just laid out about Rich, why do you think viewers are drawn to him despite his
I'm drawn to
the
him
women are
fine.
the women are drawn to him because he's fine. And why do you think men are drawn to him?
I think so women because he's fine, but then also similar to what men are. Rich looks good on paper, and I think that men look good on paper get away with a lot in our world. They get to get away with a lot because again, we live in a patriarchal ass society, a male-centered society. So if you're not robbing, stealing, beating your mama up so that you can go get your crack fix, hell, you could have a crackhead. You could have a this. You could have a that. So when you get a master manipulating, emotionally unintelligent, narcissistic, inconsistent, any of those type of men, people are looking at you like, girl, well, at least he ain't that.
That's good.
That's what I think.
That's good. At least he ain't that. Baby, we are a society that craves off at least he ain't that.
Child.
I mean, girl, it could be worse.
But the world has changed and it has grown and it has advanced, whether technologically, I think our collective consciousness has grown. This is no longer enough. It's no longer enough to have a man who is emotionally and mentally whooping your ass and, oh, well, at least he's not physically putting his hands on you when you're going out into a world every day that's conspiring on you as a black woman for your demise. You need that mental strength. You need that emotional stability. So you can't be at home with a nigga zapping that out of you only to be thrown out into the world where you actually need this potential resource, but you don't have it because this nigga is robbing you from it. But then everybody looking at you like, well, at least he don't punch you in the face. Well, he might as well, ho, because I need to be able to get out here and think. And I can't think.
That's what I say. And I always say, hell, somebody said the same thing to Anime Bullock.
Ooh.
And for those who don't know her by her government name, that's Tina Turner.
Tina Turner.
Somebody told her it could be worse. Baby, she was living in hell. And somebody telling her, baby, girl, it could be worse. At least Ike got money. And Ike was beating the brakes off this woman in front of their children. So my whole thing is, you never know what goes on in the house of those that we're connected to all the time. So I'm like, one of the worst things you can tell somebody is that it could get worse because you don't know what the hell they're dealing with. And someone like
and how
Rich,
that's landing on a person.
Yes, like that's ooh man, that's crucial.
And honestly, I would say, Allie, that's a theme for a lot of the pushback that we get for all of the criticism with the men. We get it with Zach, at least he ain't this. Okay, so he done cheated on Karen and gave her STDs multiple times. Clearly had a baby on both Karen and Fatima. Now having a baby with Karen. Don't have no job. But it could be worse. Right. Rich is taking Sabrina through the emotional ringer while she's going through IVF, when she needs all her damn faculties and energy and emotions to be able to process the hormones and all that she has to do with that. But it could be worse. Like,
yeah.
But then Aaron's the devil. Aaron's the dummy.
He the devil.
Child. Why is it never, oh, it could be better? Why is it never looking at these men and like, it could be better, and let's honor the men who go above and beyond and who have seen this bottom of the barrel as standard that has been laid at our feet and been like, yeah, this is not enough. We ain't gonna be able to make it enough. Why is people bending over backwards to try to make bare minimum bottom of the barrel enough? It's not. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
It's not. It's not. And speaking of not being enough, we had somebody who has been missing in action for 6 months.
Child.
He came back trying to give his bare minimum, in my opinion, and tried to make it enough. Trying to make 100 out of 15 cents. Still be legit and still pay you rent, in the words of Tupac. But it wasn't hitting for me, Erica. It was not hitting for me. This man, some people may call him Casper. Some people may call him a ghost. But we have coined him as the Wanderer.
Yes, we have.
And y'all already know who we talking about if you hadn't already. Erica wasn't particularly happy with his appearance when he came back.
Because he looked a mess. And I'm standing on that, y'all. You don't know whether he want to be the cop or the perp. He's the mess.
Oh my God. But y'all know who we talking about. The Wanderer, a.k.a. Calvin.
Child.
Oh. Calvin.
Now we digging into the crates, honey, when it comes to the sisters, the sisters men folk. We gonna come back to still some of the newer ones, but since we in Sabrina's wheelhouse, we gonna unpack Calvin. And it's not just Calvin from this season, but Calvin as a whole, as a character. Because if this man didn't lose me before with running off with a white woman for 6 months, but then coming back and telling the story that should have been locked and key in the archives in the chamber, never to be heard of again, you tell this girl that white woman made you her sex slave, and we supposed to give a damn? We supposed to care?
You supposed to care.
Baby, I got concepts of sorrows and prayers for you because I ain't got none of those. What are you talking about? That's what you wanted. She does everything that you need. She gets you sexually. Yes. She's everything that Sabrina is not in the bedroom. And yet and still you are 3/5 of a goddamn person in that same bedroom, dummy.
You better say that. You better give this history lesson. 3/5 of a person. And she made sure you felt that way. She made sure you felt that way. You come here all melancholy and like, I just didn't know. She didn't make me feel like a person. Okay.
Calvin, please. Calvin,
please. Okay, so the first thing we got for Calvin is the pattern of abandonment and return. And I think that is a very great perspective um to look at, and even dealing with Calvin in his totality of his character. And sometimes, I believe that abandonment is not just with your physical presence, because you could be physically around someone and still be abandoned. You could still be in an abandonment. They can still feel abandoned.
Yep.
Yes, distant from that person. And off real, like, I felt that Calvin was like a cool dude, but I'm one of those people when we have like vast differences, I don't ever put myself in a position to get to know you better. Because
Ooh, yeah.
what I have to deal with to disconnect from you, I don't want to go through that. Okay, I don't want to do that. There is one thing when you meet somebody and, oh, maybe I just have a little bit of differences, or maybe he like German chocolate cake and you like red velvet, maybe something small like that. You like cookies and cream, what I'm saying, he like butter pecan. We can work around that. But when you're dealing with someone who has vastly different perspectives on life, their desires, when it comes to them in the bedroom, when it comes to their own personal ideologies and perspectives, and things of that nature, how they deal with things, it really plays a role in how you're going to fashion the relationship. And that's just a really scary thing. Initially when we were introduced to Calvin, kissed a man in front of Sabrina. And, of course, she goes and tell her girls about what she saw, about what happened. She did not understand, like, his sexuality. Is he being honest with himself? Is he not? Which I thought were all very great questions that Sabrina had.
Yep.
Because I don't know you. I just met you. This is what it is. And he, verbalized, I'm a straight man. I was raised by two dads. I'm adopted, so on and so forth. And with Calvin, him and Sabrina definitely went on a seesaw when it came to abandonment and return. I love you, I like you. Oh, but you don't like what I want to do in the bedroom, so I'm gonna just distance myself from you. Or I'm gonna start hanging with old girl over here and not even inform you that I'm seeing someone else.
Yep.
Same way, I distant myself from you. I never forget this. You just slid out of this white woman that morning.
Hello.
You catch Sabrina with Jacoby and had a nerve to catch an attitude.
Child.
You showed up to my house unannounced and uninvited. But you mad at me because I'm getting it in with dude from the bank, as he so eloquently coined Jacoby. But you just had sex with old girl that morning. I'm sorry. Double standard here.
Hello.
So you get to have sex with who you want to. Still a sense of that abandonment and return. I'm gonna leave you, and I'm gonna show up when I want to show up. I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna go mess with Becky, Susie, and Snow White over here. And then when I'm done, I expect you not. I expect you to be in the same place I left you when I went to go do my thing. So Calvin was, I mean, top tier for doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Top tier.
What do you think?
I didn't know you want to.
What do you think actually attracted Calvin to Sabrina in the beginning?
To say was her personality, and I'm only going off of that because the only interactions they ever had was at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a loyal customer of the bank. So I'm sure he saw her, a number of times, and probably dealt with her, many of the times that he was there. And Sabrina does give. She got an aura about herself. Like she does give that. And I think he was, and not only that. I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous. So I think he was attracted and genuinely wanted to get to know her, outside of seeing her at the bank. So I think that's what initially attracted him to Sabrina.
Mm. So then once he gets to know her, right? And like one of the biggest drawbacks of this series is how quickly these women move to bed with these men. And not saying that women don't do that, because they do, but for us to have so many women, so initially starting with 4 women, now 5, and none of them are like slower to go to bed with a man, to me feels very unrealistic. But like he was able to very quickly learn of Sabrina's uncomfortabilities when it comes to sex, and like he got to know her personality. So then my question then is like, so then what kept you there if the snow bunnies that you love so much, that know exactly the spot and knew the vibrators your best, your favorite or whatever, why still pursue Sabrina, do you think?
Now that, Erica, I ain't gonna lie to you, I have a question mark about. Like, and I know we talk about this a lot when it comes to the writing of the show. Like, I understand you could be overly attracted to somebody, or
The
you
other
can,
man I saw
overly
her.
desire them. However, when it comes to this person is so vastly different from the things that I want to explore, and they're so against it, there's so much resistance. What causes one to keep trying?
Yeah.
That's the part I don't understand. Like, you can have all these women over here who would jump at the opportunity to have sex with you, because when we met Calvin, Calvin was well off. He had his construction company. He had all this stuff going on for himself. You're a catch in the eyes of a lot of women who would gladly do what you enjoy doing in the bedroom. So why pursue Sabrina when you clearly know she's uncomfortable, when you clearly know that ain't what she owned? Why would you pursue her when you are unwilling? And I think it was, I wish I could find the episode, but they had a conversation where they discussed this, and Calvin was unwilling to alter anything about himself sexually. And so what that mean for Sabrina? Then he brought up, you're judging me.
Yeah.
Sabrina, you're judging me. And I used to go off on Calvin almost every week in my reviews, because my thinking is, just because someone disagrees with something that you do and they don't want to partake, it does not mean they're judging you.
Yeah.
But he harped on that. But it also goes to show, when you introduce us to these characters, I understand maybe the reason why Calvin, going back to what we talking about, the abandonment thing, he was adopted. But it was like an open adoption, because he did have access to his birth family. And we understand that he was also a victim of, assault, sexual assault at a young age. And maybe it created some things in him. But Tyler would give people these deep
And
rooted
not flesh it out,
past
child.
and not do anything about it. And that pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is a man. Maybe he enjoyed certain things because he was young when things were done to him that he did not want. And maybe it created a fetish. Maybe it created an unhealthy sexual appetite or sexual attachment. But Tyler does not. And I'm saying Tyler, y'all, and not the writers, because there were no other writers during this time of the show.
Yeah.
But he never brought it back up again.
Yeah.
He just never brought it back up. And I hate that for the character of Calvin, because there was a lot of meat there that just never got explored. We found out Calvin had a son. Calvin had a crazy baby mama who got pregnant the first time they had sex, but we were never introduced to these people. He said the baby mama was crazy. Is she really? Because the whole time you was messing with Sabrina, there were no remnants to show that you had a crazy baby mama.
And what gives me crazy is running off to be with a white woman who turns me into a sex slave. But
Yeah, but you
say tomatoes, I say tomato, I guess.
That's a fact.
These men, they approve of themselves oftentimes, aside from Aaron, to be unreliable ass narrators. So every time I see a man speak that's not Aaron in the Sistas universe, I'm questioning it. I'm sorry.
I think
because Rich and Tony and Jordan all are divorced. Because those women were right. Them women did this. Them women did that. Rich, you're a raging narcissistic manipulator. Tony, you don't actually see your damn worth, and you wield your power and your privilege in situations that get you caught up. That's your bad. And also, pardon me, we're going to get to this when we get to you, but you might have picked Daniela because she's easier. You had a strong ass woman, and you divorced her. Jordan, I don't know what your damn deal is, but you swooning over Andy like you was, like a damn dummy. Tell me that it ain't all right up here. Zachary be lying. All you just be lying. So I don't know if I believe all the women are crazy. And it's not just because I'm a black womanist. It's because you just be lying. It's because you're crazy. So Calvin, my baby mama crazy? Well, your ass is too, because you became a sex slave for a white woman.
For a white woman, white woman. I just, I don't know. I don't know. Even in this part, his tendency to prioritize his journey over Sabrina's
feelings
and over her feelings, is I just think about the part I stated where he was just unwilling to compromise. He wanted what he wanted. I'm unwilling to compromise in that way, but you're asking her to compromise what she feels unsafe doing.
Yeah.
What she doesn't want to do. And we talked about this briefly last week, being in a relationship and coercion takes places. And people don't even think about that. Especially with women, women do a lot of things sexually that we don't want to do. Or because it's my man, I love him, he asked for it, girl, I'm gonna go ahead. And you're dreading it. You ain't even doing it good because you're dreading it while you're doing it.
Yeah.
You not enjoying it. He's not really enjoying it. And I just think that and even with him taken away from the sex part, the fact that he even left. You're my friend, and you left me. You didn't have you didn't have the wherewithal to tell me, and you had the audacity to even leave Maurice. I find out through him, and then you say it's because it would have been too hard for you if you saw me. Boy, bye. You was gonna leave with that white chick regardless.
Regardless,
you were going to go. And I'm like, they left. They were on good terms. They were friends. There was nothing sexual about their relationship. It was strictly platonic at that time with Sabrina and Calvin. So everything. I prioritize myself, and I'm not saying that sometimes there isn't a need for that. Sometimes there really is a need for that. But for you to tell me that you're leaving town, you're moving to a whole nother coast, I probably would never see you again, and you just leave and don't say nothing, that told me everything I need to know about Calvin.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
After we, to your point of them being friends, after we done made it through the whole incarceration saga where you decided to be 10 toes down, which is so interesting, and like the way that he is non-compromising when it comes to the sexual conversations or the things within their romantic relationship, but he shows up as a wonderful friend platonically, only to then reverberate or regress back into the abandonment thing and run off behind a white woman. It's just like, Calvin, please go to hell.
Yeah, that's a fact. I can't. I agree with you on that. I have nothing to say about that.
Now,
you can go quick, fast, in a hurry.
How does Calvin stack up to Rich though? Stack up and or surpass, because let's be clear, I don't want to imply that I believe anything of Rich, but okay.
I just think that Sabrina, when it has come to romantic partners, she has gotten the short end of the stick, and that stick ain't grew since season 1. That stick has not grown. Calvin moved very fast. Season 2, I believe it was episode 4, when they went out to the club, when Andy invited Paris, that was the day that he told Sabrina that he loved her. And they had been off and on, during that whole time, and Sabrina wasn't ready to say it.
Yeah.
And then you have, him going through his own thing, what he wanted, and her not believing him, and it was just a lot with him. Then you get with Rich, who I thought was a great match for her in the beginning. Come to find out, he is remember, think about Medea. Like, you couldn't have gotten worse if you would have prayed and said, Lord, give me worse. Like, you couldn't have got anywhere. It was just absolute worse. But as he compares to Calvin, even though Calvin definitely got his ways, I don't want Sabrina with either one of them.
Yeah.
I believe that Calvin was more genuine in his feelings towards Sabrina. And I don't think that he wanted, let me not say that. I think he was genuine in his feelings with Sabrina. I'll say that. And I think Rich was, I'm genuine as long as you do what I want you to do.
Which ultimately sounds like, to me, I genuinely want you to do what I want you to do. So I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to get you to do what I want you to do.
Facts.
Yeah, Facts. I'm right there. Like, if I had a choice, I would choose neither. If I was able to choose neither, I would choose neither, simply because I've called it from very early on. Like, Sabrina, I don't believe you actually want Calvin. I think that you want to be in a relationship. So that's one. And y'all go on to have a history that shows you are quite literally better off as friends. You're sexually incompatible. Platonically, he can show up in the times when it's hard and reel Maurice in and be your rock and all of that, which is wonderful. Great, great, great. He still has a whole bunch of healing to do as it pertains to his sexual proclivities and how he views sex and the value, honestly, that he places on it, because clearly that's something that was a driving force for y'all not working romantically, but y'all still get each other life-wise, platonically. So that's a thing for you to actually deal with. So, like, again, I would not want her to be with him because y'all are ill match. But then Rich is quite literally a dive off the damn deep end to, girl, you damn sure, if you wasn't supposed to be with Calvin, you damn sure was never supposed to be with Rich's ass.
Yeah. Yes.
It's almost like she's lined up like a lamb for the slaughter going from Calvin to Rich.
That is a fact. That's a fact. I agree with you. I have no rebuttals. I'm in complete agreement.
How we feel about Calvin's redeeming qualities and growth potential, because I don't think that this is the last that we have seen of him.
Fortunately, I feel the same way. I don't think this is the last that we've seen of Calvin. But the one thing that I will say is that he's genuine. And in spite of the other, discrepancies I do have about his character, I do believe that he is genuine, and I do believe that his actions showed that Calvin does have the ability to be a great friend. I saw the way he showed up for Maurice, the way he showed up for Sabrina, the way that he was there, for them during that traumatic moment in their lives, with the whole bank robbery situation. So he does have that ability to do that. So he has, if they choose to, if that's the direction they want to go with, but I'm feeling Sabrina and Dominique, I ain't gonna lie. But if, Calvin is a presence, I wouldn't have an issue as long as they just don't have him there for vanity's sake. He needs to have something substantial, because
starting
he
with
wasn't
therapy.
doing nothing when y'all had him. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Facts. Other than that, I'm cool with the brother being around.
100%. There is a little bit more potential there with Calvin. He ain't the complete bottom of the barrel when it comes to this men bunch.
He ain't.
Child.
So the person who I believe is at the top of the barrel, because I like him more than all of the new guys.
Okay.
I like him more. And initially, the first time I saw the man,
yes,
I was like, who the hell is this? Who? I literally remember when I did my breakdown, I said, who the hell is this? Because I thought it was fine as I don't know what. But I did not know that his presence was going to take this type of journey that somewhat has me in conflict, but it's a great conflict though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We
gonna talk about it. But we call him the reformer, aka Tony.
Not Tony, child.
It never rains in Southern California. But Tony.
But it's gonna be raining in Alaska.
It's gonna be freezing. It's gonna be freezing and snowy, Tony. Break out the jacket, bro.
Tony, I think that you're right to coin that he's at the top of the barrel.
Because he's in the barrel.
Let's be clear that Aaron is not in the barrel at all. He's at the top of this goofy ass sludge filled barrel, but it's still the damn barrel, y'all. Oh, we gonna talk about his controlling tendencies. His controlling tendencies, according to Daniela King.
Lord, his controlling tendencies.
Do you think he's controlling?
I think he has splashes of it.
In what ways?
I think that Tony definitely had a desire to control certain narratives with Danny. And because the writers refused to go deep with Tony, I made up my own narrative about him and why I say what I said. Tony is a vice president of an airline. Tony is divorced from I forget her rank, a major. I forget her rank in the military.
She's a major.
And she's a major, okay. And I am dating a supervisor at the airport.
She's not a supervisor.
She's a supervisor. Okay, she's a supervisor.
She was
okay.
never a supervisor. Daniela King was always a gate agent. She was never a supervisor. You don't remember she had that little old ass man, what's his name, Otis? That she was bickering with?
Yes.
That was her supervisor.
I remember. Oh, that was her supervisor. Okay. You're dating a gatekeeper at the airport. I think, even though it wasn't verbally expressed, I don't think that Tony was okay with Daddy's position as far as professionally. Because of who he is, who he was once with, the optics of his life. And so I think that's why I say I think there was splashes of it. Because even with the whole thing of getting her in that program, I do believe genuinely he wanted better for Danny. But I also believe that maybe Tony had some, foresight into what I want this relationship to be. And if I'm going to attach myself to this woman for the rest of my life, she has to be better. She has to be in a better position. But of course, like I said, the writers don't go that deep. But that's what I believed it to be. So that's why I said I think there were certain controlling factors in it, even though I felt it came from a very genuine place.
I can see that though. Because even when I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, well, a lot of the things that he was trying to do for her, I'm on the sidelines rooting because her ass needed. Because we've sat with Daniela for 5 years, over 8 seasons, and we know that you're a hot ass mess. And I'm like, well, how would he know that? He does know that because he was introduced to us by telling us, I've been eavesdropping on you over the course of however long I have noticed you. So I know the ins and outs of your relationship, your friends' relationships, and how you actually move. So I actually have a good grasp on how much of a hot ass mess your life is. And you might got a nice ass, a nice rack. I can work with that. Let me work. Ooh.
Child. Let me work. Yeah. So do you think that goes into the fixing Danny versus accepting her?
Honestly, Allie, it's not even so we got into this conversation and now putting things in perspective and articulating in the way that we are, that I'm even starting to give a little bit into the whole fixing Danny narrative. I was frustrated with Danny for the whole damn season because I'm just like, girl, like you're trying to make this fetch and it's not fetch. And now I can see like, okay, now it kind of gives fixing, but you also need it. It'll be one thing if you are at the airport and you really want to be a fashion designer, but you too scared to jump out there with your designs and your sketches and your damn sewing machine to make some things shake. And this man is trying to push you into upper management at the airlines when you really want to launch your own luxury fashion brand. That to me would be fixing and controlling and like manipulating the situation for you to be something that he wants you to be versus what you want yourself to be. You actually have no scope, no idea, no vision for yourself at all. So it's very hard for me to understand and for me to grasp you have an issue with a man coming in with something to offer you and a vision to give you when you are actually void of one. But again, that could be my shortcoming as a person, my shortcoming as a woman, and being a woman who has always known ambition, has always known achievement, has always known and maybe in some ways pedestalize those things. I am that type of woman. I struggle with looking and thinking that a person can literally have a life that is full of weed, alcohol, and have their friendships or relationships, inconsistent love where I feel discarded and disrespected in a studio apartment, and I'm good for the rest of my life. I have a very hard time grasping that is good for you while also watching you work in toxic patterns and have problematic decision making and mindsets for yourself. And maybe that's also part of it. Like I'm gonna take less of the fucking blame, because while I don't understand and I can't fully conceptualize it in reference to not wanting nothing in life, I think I could if you looked happy. I think I could if you didn't move miserably. I think I could if you, what we said in a previous life, suffered well through some of the things that you were going through and you were more optimistic. But you're nasty, you're rude, you're disrespectful, you're dismissive to all of the people around you that love you. So how am I to believe that you having lack of vision and a man coming in with some type of vision that could potentially help you on numerous fronts, aside from just getting you a manager position? This lines you up to be a better, more stable woman. How am I supposed to believe that that's a problem?
Yeah, I agree. And I think sometimes I'm thinking about science, a science project. When you have an animal in a controlled environment, and then you place the animal in an environment that's not controlled. I don't necessarily believe that controlling factors is always a negative thing or a negative connotation.
Yeah.
In this situation, I did not believe it was a negative connotation, because I believe that Tony's intent was pure. And I know, as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I understand all of that. However, I believe one thing we've always said about Danny is that Danny is not happy at her job.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be there. She's just not happy. But at the same time, we don't know the other side of that coin, because she has never said what she wanted to do.
Right.
Everybody else, all the other sisters, regardless of how we feel about them in their profession, they have professed what they want to do, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, but with Danny, we don't know what the hell this chick want to do. We know she don't want to work at the airport, but we don't know necessarily or specifically, what do you want to do? What is your vision? What are your goals? How are you going to get there? She has no ambition at all, and it's sad to watch a black woman in that place, because I don't personally know. When I say no, meaning people who I'm attached to, I don't know anybody that's like that.
Yeah.
And just have no ambition to do better. And I think with Tony, like he's very intelligent. He understands.
Yeah.
It's almost like, if I don't push a little bit, she ain't gonna go nowhere. So let me kind of, hey, there's this program over here, and I know some people, the pushback will be, she didn't ask him. And you're absolutely right. She did not ask him. But I also know what it's like too, when you're in a place and you're stuck, and someone recognizes that and they do something for you, and you can say, well, I didn't ask you to do it. Well, I know you didn't have to ask me. I see you every day.
Yeah.
So I took it upon myself, to do X, Y, and Z. Could it be labeled controlling? It could be, but at the same time, it's needed.
Right. That's the thing.
Could it be fixing, maybe? Absolutely.
It's like faulting the plumber for coming in and fixing a pipe because you didn't call the plumber. Well, bitch, the plumber's here. Like,
yeah.
I that's what I'm really struggling with. And like, even the whole, like, he's not accepting her thing, to not accept her would have been a walk away from the table, because this is too much work. This is too much baggage. This is too much trauma. Like, we start off, what was it, season 8? We start off with him pushing her to go to therapy. Or was it season 7?
Season 7.
Season 7, the beginning of it, he is calling Sabrina because he's pushing the whole therapy thing, and that's the thing that he really wants for you. And it's because, yes, he might have been eavesdropping, but over the course of the 4 months that y'all have been in relations to one another, you are still closed off. Y'all are still leading with sex. You're not moving through certain benchmarks as it pertains to, like, developing healthy relationships. And he can see that there could be things tied to your past or tied to your mindset that could be limiting in that regard. So he's going to offer up whatever resources that he actually knows of to try to help you get past it, because he does accept you enough to still stay in the fight with you. And I don't think enough credit was given to him for that.
I agree, because, baby, he shows stayed and staying. Because, I mean, there are times I wonder, he should have been gone a long time ago. But he in there. He is staying in there. And I don't understand. I think he has gotten the short end of the stick. I honestly believe that. I don't understand why Tony is still around. And even I loved your plumber example, because what I thought about was like, you may not have called the plumber, but the plumber here. But let's just say you called the plumber for a specific thing, but while he was shaking that out, he found out you had another issue, so he fixed it. You gonna tell him, well, I ain't tell you to fix it. Yeah, but if you would have flushed this toilet, all this water would have came back on you. So you better be glad that I did fix it when I saw that it needed to be fixed. So I think sometimes as women, and if it hit you, as the pastor say, don't be there the next time. There are times that we do take offense to someone trying to fix or mold or control. But when you know the person and you know their intent and you know their heart and you know they're coming from a genuine place, it's a difference. Oh, where you going? Nah, you ain't going there. Oh, baby, that's toxic control. We ain't having that.
Then hey, I think that you should stop frequenting this place because it keeps getting shot up. That's very different.
Okay. Danny, I think you might want to go to therapy because we've been together for 3.5, 4 months and you're still having nightmares. You're still waking up in the middle of the night. You still can't sleep. There are certain things I know you're not dealing with. I think you need to talk to somebody. That's different. Like, those are different parameters that we have to me, give grace to. You may not like it, and you may feel a certain way, but my whole thing is recognize when someone is loving you, even when it hurts or even when it's uncomfortable, and don't be so quick to let, girl, he trying to change me, girl, he trying to control me, girl. Is he or does he understand that there are certain aspects of you that must change? Because if he's a man and this man wants to make you his wife, he ain't marrying that. I'm not marrying a broken woman.
And not even for it need to change for me or for you to be my wife. It needs to change for you to actually find happiness, because girl, he has met you, has been dating you, has been sliding in and out of you, and probably getting a very front row, up front view to your misery, ma'am.
Yes.
Daniel, you're miserable. And who loves somebody is in proximity to somebody that they love and see them miserable day in and day out and don't try to do any and everything that they possibly can to help lift the veil of misery.
Yes.
I don't know a person who does that.
And it's straight misery, because even being, hell, are they engaged? I don't even know what.
Child.
They engaged.
Because all of this good talking and the flowers is coming for early ass Tony. Because I don't know what the hell this getting on the knee, let's just get married, jagged edge Tony came from. I don't know what the hell this is.
I don't know what this is either, sis. And even for someone to proclaim, I never imagined our relationship would be where it is. Even in a brief moment of glee, a brief moment of happiness, she went straight to downing Karen and Aaron's relationship. And the fact that they're not going to be happy because, she's still pregnant by 2 different men.
That's because your ass is still miserable, ho.
Thank you.
You got a ring, $75,000, and you still miserable, screaming, I don't need no fixing. I don't need no fixing. Mm-hmm. Somebody need to fix it, but now we need to get Jesus on the main line because he's the only one who can. I throw my hands up. I'm done. I'm done with her.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Can't do nothing.
If Tony knew like I knew, he would be done with it too, but he don't.
He don't. He be on that first free trip, that free one-way trip to Alaska, if he knew what was best for him.
Hello.
But it's obviously that he don't know what's best for him.
Tony definitely navigated his whole journey with Danny with great intentions, and sometimes I guess it would be poor execution, and more so poor execution specifically because I don't think that he actually took into consideration who he was dealing with. Had it been a sensible ass woman who was already halfway out of her own misery and like wanted to be unmiserable, half of the things that he did, all of the things, hell, probably would have worked and would have set them up for a beautiful, healthy relationship. But you have a woman who was in the trenches of her damn misery, so you're going to have to use a different tactic if you're going to stay here and try to pull her ass out of it. One of the things that was like postured is that he uses professional advancement as leverage, which I don't actually think was a thing. For all intents and purposes, like, Danny never asked for it, so it wasn't like he was dangling it in front of her. I think it was a mechanism that he had within his arsenal or within the realm of what he could reach to try to, throw an additional fix on this very, very broken person. How do you feel like the presence of Tony both hindered and helped Danny so far?
The biggest help was the fact that she did end up getting a therapist. Um, and I do war with that because I think in the beginning they were making a mockery out of that journey, the writers. It wasn't until she had the panic attack where she actually began to consider, why am I doing these things? Am I using sex as a defense mechanism? So when that began to, unravel, and I'm like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for the entire time. So I think that was something that enhanced, excuse me, or helped Danny in a great way. But it's almost as if it was also the very thing that hindered her as well, because you go to therapy, you see somewhat of a breakthrough, and you go back to the things that got you where you were in the first place. The cover of I'm good, using sex as a when they were in the airport, and she was like, what he said, that I be on my back. Little does he know that my go-to position is doggy style. Like, are we making jokes about this now? Something that was just you was just trying to consider, was this a trigger for you? Now you're in the airport making jokes about it. So which one is it?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we saw a little bit of growth, and yes, how it was helping, but then it's like, don't forget, this is still Danny. Almost like, I don't care how pretty or how colorful a snake is, it will still bite your ass because it's still a snake. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what he was giving. Like, the help and then the hinder, it was almost like one and the same. And then it's just like it brought out, but it did bring out certain aspects of herself, like to see her with these children and how her attitude was about these kids, even how she expressed it to Tony. And it's like, and you want to marry? What?
Never have I heard of such.
Nah, bro, you might not want to do that.
Do you like
and
your
how
kids?
She was doing him. Right. Right. Because call them every name except children of God.
Right, and you still want to be with her? That's the part I'm like, Tony, you must don't like your kids. If this is who you want to try to make their stepmother, and she telling you this off rip? Off rip? I agree. I agree. And in a lot of ways, I feel like a lot of the hindrance has come on the tail end, like now as we exit season 8. So like the proposal, the lack of consequences or accountability, like the moments in which I feel like he conceded to the narrative being placed on him of, oh, you are trying to change me, you don't like me as a woman, you are actually the problem here, and not pushing back. Those are the moments where I felt like he's most hindering of Danny, because that narrative, while it could be valid in reference to her feelings, too much of it is given false, baby girl, and too much of it is alleviating you from the accountability that you should face for the terrible life that you are currently living. It is not everybody else's fault. But having him as a character cower to these allegations hurts not only Danny, but then also him and who we know him to be as a man.
And he's and even though he is subtle, Tony is a man's man. Like when he was telling Danny, like, no, you need space. We don't need space, so don't project that, onto me. And I'm like, I love that, and he's very soft in tone. He doesn't yell, doesn't scream, but he said what he said.
Yeah.
And you got what he said. And I appreciate that, about him. But as you stated, like cowering to those emotions, you just left out of mediation and you're proposing. Why? Because the people that Danny have in her life that attempt to hold her accountable, she cuts them out. She's disrespectful to them. Like, she doesn't have that voice of reason. And even she played with Krisha.
Yeah.
Like, even that, the fact that this woman even still has you as a client. I mean, the grace
been dropped messing around with me. Good luck, ho.
Not good luck, ho. Oh my God. But yeah. Yeah, so it's like, Tony. Excuse me, Jesus.
No worries.
How he has helped, hindered, extended grace to this woman. said what he said, and somehow he's still the blame.
Child,
It's
I
all his
will just
fault.
never understand it.
She doesn't have to take responsibility for anything that she's done. You tried to comfort this man's job. You came up on $75,000. He got down on his knees to propose to you, and you laughed in his face. It's like at some point they try to make these men, they can start off, when I say hard, meaning firm in what they believe in their foundation. And then somehow or another, they always seem to take that curve around Coward Boulevard and cower to these women.
All of them except for
No,
Karen. Karen is the only one that don't get people to cower to her demands and
that's
her
true.
emotions and her desires. It boggles
Mm-hmm.
my mind. She's the one who always gets the hard road every single time. Ain't nobody, except for Aaron, giving her no damn cut cards. But even that, he's still holding her ass accountable from the jump. Getting her ass about Zachary and how she talked to him. Like from the jump. But you over here, down here at the studio apartment, cowering to Daniela King? Okay. Couldn't be me.
That's a fact.
Child. Tony is a complex character of sorts, and like we started out, he was definitely at the top of this goofy ass sludge barrel. And we maybe after this next person, then we can come back and do the comparison, I suppose.
Okay.
What you think?
Okay. I agree with that. Okay. We come back. Now this next person, y'all. Y'all know how I feel about him. Well, the person who plays him. This man is one of God's, one of most greatest specimens. The way that he has been able to completely saturate the role of villain has been remarkable.
Wait.
I'm sorry. I scrolled down too far. So you go edit that out, sis.
I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a damn minute.
I scrolled too far.
Not that person yet. We're going to get to that one, y'all.
Yeah, we're going to get, not him.
Drop in the chat if you know who that one is.
Y'all know who that one is. All right. So, who the real person that's coming up next? This man here, we're probably going to piss a lot of y'all off with this because our feelings about him is very different than a lot of y'all who probably watch it or listening. Good on the eyes, great to look at.
Great. Gorgeous gowns.
Yes. He uses his ignorance as a vice for me, as a tool to sometimes manipulate.
It's giving weaponized incompetence.
It's definitely giving it. And if y'all have not, came to who we talking about, he's the one who got the picture of his cousin in his wallet that we ain't gonna never discuss. The one and only. He's been coined as the patient one. No one other than the patient one. But Preston.
Child.
Preston.
Y'all love him. This is y'all's golden boy, baby.
That's y'all golden.
Y'all just want him to come back and rescue Daniela King from the trenches of accountability and upward mobility. Y'all want him to come back and be that girl whipping boy so bad, and I don't understand it. Because did he give her an ultimatum and then go and marry a white woman? Or did he go give her an ultimatum and go marry a white woman?
And did.
Ugh. Even though Trinity, we see you. You online talk about, oh, maybe I didn't get married. I don't know. The proof, the receipts, proof, timeline. We got a photo that shows a very married ass, goofy ass Preston. But let's talk about Preston, child.
Preston. Okay. Jesus.
Well, let's start with his role in Danny life. Why do you think, like from a writer perspective, why do you think Tyler picked the archetype of Preston to be the man for Danny?
It made me feel from a writer's perspective that this was an introduction into something different. Maybe not better, just different. She's never been with a white boy. No, she's never dated a white man. And not only a white man, but he's a white man with no flavor. He's a white man who is a cowboy who
No
works on
flavor.
a farm. That's what he gives. So when you look at the character of Danny, Preston is the person that you would least expect for her to fall for it or to entertain on any level. So for me, it was like, this is someone that is different. Now, what I will say, it didn't go like I thought it was gonna go.
Yeah.
But I would say definitely the contrast of culture, and just the contrast of her dating someone who has never shown genuine care and concern for her.
Yeah.
And her being able to receive that from a man who is not black. Because Danny always wanted to be with a black man.
Right. Which leans to like, girl, you should have never been with him from the jump. Y'all should never see me cuddling up to Brad. Because I don't see it for myself. And I can tell you that right now. And that's no shade to you white men. But I just don't. It's too much. I don't want it. I don't want the baggage that comes with your racist ass mama potentially. Or your grandmama. Or the Confederate flag. Like, I don't want no Trumpers in my damn family. I don't want nothing that comes with it. So if y'all see Erica walking down the street hands in hands with a white man, and then she get to hollering later on, you can be like, well, girl, didn't you say you never wanted a white man? Now the white man is white manning, and you mad?
What you mad for? What you mad for? And this white man still, he started white manning.
Did he?
He really did. But that, I would say, from a writer's perspective, that's why I believe that Preston was introduced to Danny, in the manner in which he was, and the enormous role that he played in her life for many seasons. And going to Lord, comparing the patience of Preston and Tony. It's so interesting because both of these men definitely showed a level of patience with Danny.
Yeah.
That, I'm sorry, and I don't want to say this, but I don't feel like she deserved it, because the way that Danny used to talk about Preston, and she made fun of everything everything about him. Only time she kept quiet is when he was feeding her. Anything other than his cooking, she had to say something, you know what I'm saying, about. And I felt attacked because, like I said, I grew up in suburban. I moved to North Carolina. I lived in a small city called Wilkesboro, where bluegrass music was king. I lived without BET. Leaving Florida, moving to North Carolina, I lived without BET for about a good 6 years. I didn't have BET. I listened to MTV, VH1, and we had VH1 Soul. That's what kept me along with my black roots. And then I used to order like so many CDs. I got ordered so many CDs. But it was during that time my taste in music changed. So I'm like soft rock. I love all kinds of music, but bluegrass is a huge genre there, because you got the Appalachian Mountains, you got all that stuff going on. So you even have a bluegrass festival. All of that. I love bluegrass music. So when they brought it up that Preston loved bluegrass, and Danny made fun of it, I said, now wait a minute now.
Wait a minute.
Don't diss what you don't know. Don't play.
Hello?
Bluegrass music is the junk, okay? But it's like you made fun of everything that cultivated this, of who this man is. His music, the way he dressed, his profession, what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was never enough.
Yeah.
It was just never enough. And I understood, but I understood the duality, the war within. You know, I'm your first black person you dated. Am I supposed to teach you everything? Well, you the one signed up for this. There are certain things he's not going to know. You want him to go to Google, or you want him to use you as a reference? Because Google might tell him something that ain't, ain't kosher.
Yeah.
So what do you want him to do? So,
and honestly, like, even with that, from what we were getting, he moved with such care in the beginning that she wasn't even confronted with most of the things that you would initially be worried about when thrown into that situation as a black woman dating a white man. Like, when you really think about the conflict, it's like the visual, but he's also fine. But he also wasn't bending over backwards to make you feel away. Now, we did have the circumstances with the damn handcuffs and the gal.
Yes.
which I think he definitely didn't intend for it to come off like it did. But again, that's a moment where if that's too much, you can't imagine jump ship, because I would have if I was already in that damn ship and it was sinking, I would have jumped ship then. It's like he also had points in which very real things, like if this was not going to work for you just off of like, I don't want this particular uncomfortability, then you can speak to and you could deal with. And he was also very open to shifting and to growing, at least initially. So when I think about Daniela and like being a character who starts off and we hear about Tyrone and she's stalking and she run down on him in the grocery store and she can't leave a man alone and he's with a whole nother woman. You have a man who you are the 100% object of his affection and his attention. And your biggest issue is that he's white. Mm-hmm. But you also said yes to the date. You said yes to him sticking parts to him and the parts to you.
She did.
And he was white when all that happened. So like, he's not coming out the woodwork with some random ass woman. He's not trying to bum on your damn couch. He has a whole job that he's very passionate about and will have no problem speaking to you about, but still creates room to make sure that your interests and everything get communicated, but you don't talk. You are so used to these transactional, specifically sexual, a lot of times abusive ass relationships that you get into a room or you sit on the couch with, you gotta turn the camera the other way, Allie.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
It's okay. You get into a room with, sit on the couch with Preston and he's trying to ask you about your day and ask you to dive a little bit deeper into this, and this, and you feel attacked because he's trying to really get to know you better. Girl, please. Please. You back?
I don't know what happened. Is it back? Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My phone was about to die. But everything you said about Preston when it comes to Danny, even you mentioned Tyrone. Tyrone, you know what, played such a small role, but it was so huge. Mm-hmm. Because it was like we were able to see Danny. First of all, this man pretty much laid it out. You were never his girl. Y'all were never that. Y'all was just having sex, and you were concerned about him using your frequent flyer miles to fly another chick into town. When he works at the airport, he absolutely needs nothing from you. And even the way it was presented, he was almost like offended and appalled that you're even speaking to me. Mm-hmm. Because I haven't dealt with you in a while, so why would you even have this type of emotion seeing me with, you know what I'm saying, with someone else? It did kind of go out, so I don't remember everything that you covered with that.
No worries.
With that moment. But with, it's just, I'm gonna bring this up. Preston and Zach.
Ooh.
And even though the ultimatum was when I was like really done with Preston, but what started me on that journey, one, because he was a ghoster as well. He would leave Danny for days when he did something that could be considered offensive, and he didn't know how to, I guess, deal with his transgression. So he would just not come around. He wouldn't answer her phone calls nor her text messages. So he would do that. And then when it got to the point of him not really communicating, and don't get me wrong, Danny was definitely seesaw, up, down, up, down.
Yes.
But when he went to Zach and Zach began to hook him up with women, black women,
specifically
telling
to make
him where to
jealous.
Go, to make her jealous. Child. That's why I fight now. Oh, I'm supposed to believe that Zach is really Danny's brother. That's her friend. Absolutely not, because you intentionally did things to hurt this woman. Mm-hmm. That's very, like, Preston was definitely on that trajectory of becoming an F-boy in my book, because why are we doing this? Mm-hmm. All because you want Danny, and then some truth to the things that he did. When Danny had an experience with, old dude, and he was like, if you never got attacked, would I even be here? And in my mind, no, you wouldn't be here because just a couple of days ago, you had your fiance here.
Ooh.
I don't even know why you here. Because I'm lonely. I don't want to be left alone. I have trauma. It's traumatic. I have PTSD being in my own home. Like, those are things they really didn't explore for Danny, but you got attacked in your home.
Yeah.
And to be in there, I'm sure it's triggering. But with Preston, I just, his transgressions just outweighs his ability to be patient. Because I don't even know
Yeah.
what he was patient about. I really don't know. Like,
Yeah.
toward the end, things with Preston just became so, like, cloudy for me. Because I'm like, now I don't understand why you're here, especially when you have, I wish I could remember her name, but I can't right now. You got an old girl waiting for you.
I was about to call her Molly. That's not
Was
her
it
name.
Mindy?
Mindy.
Is it Mindy?
Mindy.
It's like, you got this chick over here waiting to become your wife. Why are you with me?
Mm.
Like, why are you with me? And then, and Preston wasn't dumb. He knew when Danny started, like, feeling Tony.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do, you pop up at my job. And then Preston never really did that. He was never the one that popped up at a job.
Did that. Yeah.
He wasn't that person. But now, something different. Oh, you getting up to go to work early? Let me find out what you doing, sis.
So how do you feel like they compare, Tony and Preston?
Girl, I would love to just get a inch of what they have in patience for the right things. Yeah. Because I don't understand why Danny gets so much patience and grace from men.
Ooh. Well, from these men, because the other ones just
from these men. Yeah, from these men. Sure. And even though I don't like Danny, I don't even like saying that because I believe we all are deserving of grace because we all are. We all erred. So let me make that clear. I believe we all are deserving of grace. But the thing, Danny sometimes can be so lethal in her verbiage, and they just, they just keep coming back. I guess the venom ain't strong enough. I guess I don't know.
Or the desire to be a hero is stronger.
That's
because
true
I would argue that. I would argue that, like, in a lot of ways, at least the initial Preston felt like to me, the training wheel bike version of Tony in white. Like, they had similar intentions, similar motives, seemingly similar love, similar perseverance. But because Preston is a white man, Trinity is not, but he's biracial. Right. But presenting as a white man with a white man's experiences, that colored it a little bit differently. But for all intents and purposes, I felt like Danny just got a redo with Tony. And at the beginning, I was just like, well, girl, if the biggest problem with Preston was that he black, then what's your issue with Tony? Okay, now let's get to the root of, now you're saying it's control, because it will always be something. So then when the next man is patient and graceful and has no potential career opportunities for you, is perfectly fine with sleeping with you, getting his nut and letting you have a fridge with no food in it, then it'll be, oh, he don't really care about me. Like, at some point, girl, you the problem. But if I had to pick, I think, and see, I don't know, because Tyler and them damn writers, it's like, between the ultimatum and the damn proposal, both of them are sent from the depths of hell, Allie. The depths of hell. But
that's a fact.
I think if I had to choose, I would choose Tony and the proposal as a better fit, because it comes from a less problematic place, if that's even possible.
That's true. And I would choose Tony. If I had to live 3 lives, it would be Tony, like the group. I would pick him every single time, because even though I'm not a fan of the proposal, give somebody an ultimatum to choose you, and if you don't choose me, I'm going to go marry somebody else. So even if I do choose you, I'm doing it out of a fear of losing you to somebody else, and not because I actually really want you. So when Preston did that completely knocked him out of anything for me.
Forever. We gonna have beef forever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, even if I loved you down, that would have been a moment that all of it started to ooze out of my body, and spite would have taken over.
Yes. And then You got the audacity to ask, you want to meet her? What?
Violence is not the answer until it is for me, y'all. And the way that I would have laid hands so many times, he would have got punched dead in his face.
Erica?
This version of Erica, not 20-something Erica. This version of Erica today. I'm dating a man who tells me, if you don't want to be with me, I'm going to go be with this girl who has loved me since childhood that I don't want to be with, her white woman, because that does matter. And she going to get all of this that you missing. But do you want to meet her? Before her comes out.
Because what? You have lost your mind. You have lost every cell that God has created to form a brain under your skull. Because what the hell did you just ask me?
What the hell? And if you dumb enough to force her on me, or you dumb enough to have us stumble upon each other, and she dumb enough to let it happen, I'm going to beat her ass too.
You get what you get. And then you asked me that twice. Because then you waited till we in this bar. You want to meet her? She's right over there. Out. The audacity. It's the audacity.
But see, I don't know if I would ever be put in that circumstance, because I get crazy from the jump.
Okay, see, yeah. I can't even fathom someone asking me that question. Do you want to meet the woman I'm going to marry when you were just in my bed a couple days ago?
Child. Preston, the patient one, need to be that's the surface level analysis that y'all be trying to run with. It's Preston, the damn problematic one.
Yes. Ooh, I can't even fathom.
Okay, girl. Now is your time to shine, honey.
Now here's the one that we love to hate, but also hate to love, because he does it so well.
Brilliantly.
So well.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We have coined him as the villain, because he is.
Period.
Also known as Gary Marshall Borders. The only person who we know the first, middle, and last name of.
Wait, Aaron?
What's his middle name?
I don't know. I thought we know it, though.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember.
No?
If we do.
Child.
I don't know. Aaron
you might be
I
right. He that diabolical. We got all the names. And still nobody can put his ass in jail. Go
and
figure.
Nobody can kill not damn one of them. Goodness gracious.
Oh my goodness.
Gary as the central antagonist of this show.
Yes.
Lord, when I looked at this, I realized just how influential the character of Gary is for everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody. And he plays this role of villain so well in so many aspects, and he has progressively gotten worse every season.
Yeah.
Every single season. The first season, he was a villain, but it was like slowly but surely, taking off that wrapper. Because the most that we had was Gary was cheating on his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Cheating
and
on
like
his wife.
and like, is this manipulation? What is this?
Right.
We couldn't actually put our fingers on it.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on?
And I think it wasn't until he asked Andy to intentionally wreck her case with Jasmine.
Yeah.
That you started to see wait a minute now.
Yep.
Hold on. And then he showed up to the law firm, and they had, I guess, the mediation, and he didn't say anything. He was hush mouth.
Child.
And I'm like, Andy about to lose her job, bro. You better say something. He ain't say nothing.
He ain't say a damn thing.
He not a mumbling word.
And Jasmine was testing him too.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we say? I said, oh.
Baby, let me tell you, if a wife ain't gonna do nothing else, babe, didn't she?
Miss Girl.
How do we? We're a unit. Mm-hmm. Everything is plural. Everything is plural. But yes, the way that Gary has been able to weave in and out the storylines, with these different characters. it's interesting how well they write this.
Yeah. Because
It
he's
really
there
is.
as Andy's man from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
because of, at the beginning, because of the women's love of Andy and proximity to Andy and desire to protect Andy, who can't seem to ever protect herself, everybody else get pulled in. Initially, it's the heavy focus on Karen, and that's what creates the rift between her and Karen's relationship. And it's ultimately like sometimes the audience is siding with Andy and like calling into question and making Karen a big bad wolf because she wants no cut cards when it comes to Gary Borders. That ultimately becomes a role that Fatima takes, and while they write it a little bit differently, she becomes the guard dog against Gary for Fatima in the role that Karen was in at one point. Not as much so with Danny and Sabrina, but then ultimately we get to the stabbing and like them trying to protect the ultimate protection of like, you ain't gonna marry him. They all get called into question in that regard. But then even Zach with like the investing with Gary not being able to have his money back, and Fatima the back and forth and protecting Andy and like thinking she the big bad wolf, and she gets knocked down here and puts a knife to his neck here. He winds up, his tentacles wind up literally, like you said, touching every character in some way, shape, or form, even the ones that are quote unquote supposed to be his allies. He's smashing Hayden, his girlfriend, because he can, because that's what villains damn do. And it always adds to, unfortunately, I gotta say it's the thing that adds to the story, and has for a very long time, like from when the Zach and Karen started to get monotonous in season 4 on, it became the Gary show and him driving the plot of the show in reference to the major, like, the major moments of like real consequence, I would say.
I agree with that. It definitely became very Gary heavy. It definitely became him and Hayden, because Hayden had a little run for a minute too.
Right, but that was also, I
When
think,
everything,
on hinged on the fact of his proximity to Gary.
it was. So it was like it really became the Gary show, like legit. He took up a lot of space within this Sistas universe, like he really really did. And then it was like his, and even with extending it, his ability to manipulate multiple women. We see Andy, we see Penelope, we see Jasmine, we see Tamara, we see even the chick, the young nurse at the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Like he had a
Whose
whole,
student loans ain't never gonna get forgiven, baby.
maybe what? Maybe you still gonna be in debt. He had you down there bobbing and weaving, and you still gonna be in debt when he get up. Now that he's at this hospital, but excuse me, his ability to do that. And Gary's a charmer. I guess he's a charmer. He has money. He dresses well, always for the most part is in a suit. So he plays the role very well, almost like he kind of floats under the radar because no one is expecting him to do some of the things that he does, or even if he does, they find a way to protect him.
Yeah.
In some way, like finding out the things he did to Penelope is like, and he maxed out your credit cards. I'm sorry, what? Why are you still with him? Why are you still with Andy? Showed you the multiple women that he's messing with, not just you, and you still stay with him. Andy, Leslie showed you the multiple women that Gary is with, and you still stay with him. You had all your girls over there crying a river. You crying a river. They watching you because he's having multiple women. I mean,
Jasmine, you walk into the office of the mistress that he's currently cheating on you with, and you decide that you're gonna stay with him and make her pay. Huh?
Make her pay. It's like, Gary, what you putting down, whatever it is diabolical, and I don't want it. I don't want no parts of that.
Demonic, okay?
I don't want no parts
thank
of that demonic penis, because baby, these women have lost their minds, literally. Like, they really, really, really have. And that just leads into the Trail of Destruction.
Everywhere he go.
Everywhere he goes. Everywhere. Everybody is affected. Like, excuse me, everyone is affected by Gary's decisions, even the people who he's not even directly attached to.
Mm-hmm.
Even the women at one point were going to get sued by Jasmine.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what? Why are we getting sued?
Mm-hmm.
How you
Jasmine got her ass tossed off the top of a parking garage. I know we like to forget.
I knew that was coming.
He yeeted her ass off the top of a parking garage.
He did.
Destruction.
He did.
Hell, he was going to be the thing that broke me when it came to Aaron, because I was like, oh no, you are friends with this man? You're out of here, bud. You're out of here. And that was completely unintentional. Just with him, Aaron being there trying to help you was about to make me be like, you know what? Aaron, Karen, throw that man away, because no. I don't like the company.
But it just goes to show his manipulating tactics. Like, you have this man who really wants to see the best in everybody. Because, I mean, hell, Zach done disrespected Aaron so many times. But, brother, we going to get through this, brother. Brother, we going to be friends one day, brother. You know what I'm saying? That's just Aaron. And so you have someone like, Gary, who has probably been lying to this man the whole time with sprinkles of truth, within it. But he just genuinely wants to help you. Other than, Gary being a part of his men's group, they have no other attachment, no other, dynamic in relationship. So it's like, my God. And, this man vouching for you and all of this. You're a horrible individual. Just absolutely deranged.
Yeah.
Literally deranged. We see Robin comes into the picture. You're trying to take this man business from him.
Child.
A hostile takeover because him and Andy got a situation. It was just the things that that Gary is able to do to flow in and out and have no consequences to his decisions. Having Penelope lose her child in such a violent way, no consequence for that. No consequence for that whatsoever. You still roaming the streets doing what you do. You do it well.
Hello.
Taking people money left and right. It's just the Gary is just
drugging Jordan.
Everybody, yes.
Child.
Your God. Drugging Jordan. Had that man taking pictures and videos with men and women. You choose to expose. You got the cartel. I ain't forget about that. You got the cartel money linked up with just horrible. Gary is just absolute. It just gets worse and the more we talk about it and think about the stuff that he's done. It's just absolute chaos. Lied to Andy about being married before he was married to Jasmine. I mean, he vehemently denied that. Then come back with the paperwork showing that he got married when he was 18 and it was annulled. What? Just lying for no reason.
Do you think that his character, though, as the villain, has shown or has proved to be a good catalyst for other characters' character growth because they interacted with him?
There's character growth. I'm going to say this, and I did not think about this until you just asked that question. The only person that I believe that has grown from being attached to Gary is Hayden. Because where he's getting this newfound boldness from.
Yeah.
The fact that, what started off as a scheme, that now he really does have feelings for Tamara. And he's willing to knuck if you buck up against Gary to say, hey, I know what happened. It ain't gonna happen again. You stay the hell away from. I'm like, okay. So growing in that aspect, because I'm trying to think about everybody that's attached to him. He's the only person that I would say has garnered a sense of strength by being directly attached to Gary. I don't know if anyone else has.
Prior to season 8, I was like, okay, maybe Andy has grown now, just because her choice to marry Gary felt like it was finally her taking accountability for her part in this demon's trauma inflicted upon her life. Not that the trauma was her fault, but she made active choices to keep this man around for quite a while. But then when we get into season 8 and then we get the journey with her and Jordan and no, Andy just be doing shit. She just be doing shit. That is not actually growth. Because if anything, the area in which Andy needs to grow as it pertains to men is her codependence on men, or the idea of being in relation to men, whether exclusively or just sexually, is of some value or benefit to her. When, girl, you need to really understand your inherent value, if there is any, because also I'm struggling to feel like that's there anymore. But you can stand in this, conference room and demand what you are owed at the law firm and have all this self-worth tied to billable hours that your ass don't work, and client results that we have not seen you actually achieve. But it took you 6 seasons to stand up to Gary Borders, who you have been cheating with and a mistress of for however long in the Tyler Perry timeline. But again, over the course of 6 seasons, and you did so damn willingly off the strength of some promises that he never intended to keep, and you learned very early on that he never intended to keep. And yet and still, by season 6, 7, whatever, going into this, you are now forced to marry this man to try to protect another man who you're not even fully sure that you love and want to actually be with, but you enjoy how he stick parts of him and the parts of you. Girl, you have not grown. That was an illusion.
It was.
But I will say, to the Gary character point, I think that he provides a great a great villain, and he could be a catalyst for growth. And the characters are often written in a way to resist that growth. Because Zach, you lucked up on $2 million. You go and invest with Gary. You can't get your money back from Gary, and you still ain't go get a job. You still waiting for another Easter egg, nest egg to fall upon you, versus learning that money is not just going to appear. Things are not just going to be magic. You're not going to be able to just flip this $200,000 real quick and get it right back. That would be the growth that you could experience. Like I said with Andy and how she, sees men. Fatima, every time that you come up against a villain like Gary, you don't need to pull out a knife in the bag. Like, we also don't see no growth in her in reference to different tactics to try.
Yes.
I think that Gary as a character definitely could be a great catalyst for all of the characters to grow, and how they engage with him and how they navigate the tumultuous life that he kind of like exposes them to. But again, the way that it's being written, they're resistant to it.
Very, very much so resistant to it. No type. Yeah, it's just the stagnation of it all. When he definitely presents the trampoline, this jump, it's there, go. No, we ain't gonna do that. It's too much like right.
Too much.
That's too
much. But Gary,
much
in and
like
of himself,
right.
though, is 100% a cautionary tale villain.
Oh my God.
Because while he be having his way, he also be down on his damn luck. Sir, you was in a coma and you lost all your damn memories. That is not telling you to stop being menace. Stop being a menace to society. No, you're going to wake up, get your suit back on, and you're going to go right back to menacing. All right. Don't do that. Y'all, do not be like Gary Borders. It was not going to work out for you.
Don't be like him. Don't get intertwined with a married man.
Hello?
If they married, and this is the thing, it's one thing when you don't know that they married.
Yeah.
When you know that they're married, baby girl, run in the other direction. Bro, if she married, run in the other direction. Because I guarantee that is a disaster waiting to happen. It may not be as detrimental as Gary, but it's going to be some remnants of that up in there.
And it speaks to who this person is. Like, Gary is also a very deeply miserable person. You cannot convince me otherwise. Because why, as a high-powered, highly financed hedge fund manager, do you have time in your day to terrorize a lowly ass pretty attorney who down at the law firm not doing no damn work and her friends? I'm just very confused.
Oh my God. Jesus.
You over here doing coke, flying in hoes, broke as hell at one point, and still trying to find a way to be a menace to Andy's society. That is misery if I ever seen it.
It is. Gary, Gary is nothing more than a well-dressed candy man. Because, baby, you say his name enough and he pops up. He pops up. You just can't call on him. Can't call him. He just, even thinking about him, he's just there.
Yeah.
He's just there. But I will say this, and I may be alone in this moment.
Okay.
The rare moments of humanity. Even though he's the villain, there was one time, and I don't remember the exact video it was for me. But it's been years ago. But I actually had a soft moment for Gary. This before I even thought Cheeto was fine. This way before that situation happened.
Okay.
I always think about, kind of going back to what we said about Calvin. Tyler writes these crazy backstories on these characters, and that has to shape them to some extent.
Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, the only character who gets to placate on their past trauma is Zach.
Yeah.
Gary lost his mother in a house fire when he was young. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was there when it happened. Which is probably why there's no excuse why he threw Jasmine's ass off that balcony, because she put his mother's ashes in the gas tank.
Oh.
So, of a burning car.
Right.
So, you know.
Damn. So his mama burnt twice.
Ooh, I didn't even think about it. Like, yeah. And so I think about, what traumas must this man have to move about life the way that he does? Even so, and even in this fact here, what's the reason that Gary is even in a men's group? What does it benefit him to go there if he's really not trying to get help?
Yeah.
That's just because normally if you're in a group like that, you may meet 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. At the most, you might meet for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But the fact that
Aaron.
What's the man's name? That Aaron knew so much about Gary's life. He knew about Andy. He knew about the woman that he was in love with. He knew that he was trying to, deal with how to process and leave his wife. There were certain things that Gary was very open about with Aaron, even though there were some things he was closed off to him about. It made me wonder, why is he even going to get the help?
Yeah.
Because no one knows he's in this group. Yeah. And I think that was a miss. Like we talked about how it was a miss for Zach's character to go through that process of grieving the relationship with Karen. I think it was a horrible decision to not allow the audience to see Gary in this group and the purpose of it. Because why was he there? He had to go there for a reason.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I had a soft spot for Gary. And my heart really went out to him. But I'm like, dude, he's so damn diabolical.
Hello.
That, it didn't last long. But I did wonder those things, though.
Yeah. And when you put it like that, Allie, there is some meat there.
Yeah.
Child.
Yeah. It did. I don't know. I just,
At its core, Gary's gonna go down in history as one of the most intriguing, catalytic, interesting characters in this universe, for sure.
For sure. Absolutely. So next up, this is a character I didn't really like too much. I didn't really like him too much, but I will say this past season, I really enjoyed him, and I'm gonna get into why I enjoyed him this season. I love how it's so innocently and just sweetly put as the friend, also known as Maurice.
Come on, Mr. Webb.
I love that he's considered the friend. I love that. I love that. So Maurice's unique position as the non-romantic male figure on the show is so absolutely necessary to me. Yes, because the writers write as if women do not have platonic
male friends
relationships with men.
Yep.
And that's not the case. Some women have a lot, some women don't have much, but at least normally one. If that.
No, we're not trying to hop on everybody pole that walk by.
No. We are not trying. And even if you are fine, it's like, girl, I wouldn't touch him with a girl. No, he nasty, girl. Nah. Like, you sure you not? Oh, I'm positive. No. Nah, baby,
exactly.
but he's such a necessary character in that position. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that he is Sabrina's friend.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's her
Cause
friend.
she probably would
Um,
be the one that needs it the most. Even Karen, who like gets the most hell, she's built for it almost. It seems.
mhm, mhm, yeah. So it's like Sabrina definitely needs that. Sometimes that courage, sometimes that kick in the behind to say, "Girl, what you
Mm-hmm.
doing?" And he definitely, I believe, more. I appreciated him more in this season than in any other season of the show.
Yeah.
And even though he wasn't in the show a lot.
Right.
He to me he did have meaningful um scenes and things that he said. But
Yeah.
yeah, his position is extremely necessary.
Yeah. And I have always liked him. I think that they have played around and like how far they go left and right with his character and how
Mhm.
exaggerated they do certain things. And I do feel like there's quite a bit of missed opportunities with him being the queer character here. Like he, to me,
Mhm.
should be doing much more of a heavy lift, but then it also feels like they want less of, um, maybe like a queer conversation is just a little accent, and I can understand that too because all of the women are heterosexual, which is fine. But like we also are experiencing Sistas, which is revolving around these damn men, and then it's the least interesting men of them all that get the most damn screen time. It's the Zachs.
Ooh.
It's the rich and the Tonys. When Aaron is right there, Maurice is right there. Like you could really develop what is happening in those men world. What are those men thinking? Why are those men moving the way they're moving? And they tried to with the whole Grayson thing with Maurice, but again, I think that they
Oh,
have kind of like
yeah.
dropped that, and they could be having a different conversation, but they're not. Um,
Mhm.
it's interesting. They've tried to expand it a little bit because we are not just seeing his friendship with Sabrina. Now we're seeing him navigate with Pam. And we also get to see, we've
Mhm.
had touches of how he navigates with Andy. And of all intents and purposes, Andy need to go ahead and thank him for this damn managing partnership. But, I ain't going to say too goddamn
Mhm.
much.
Mhm. And give him a cut.
Hello? Um,
Mhm.
he ultimately is a figure who, while a little bit more subtly to your point, has definitely his character is affecting more than just the character that he was initially attached to on the onset of the show.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I would think that
Absolutely.
they like he is definitely the comedic relief, but we which is probably why you enjoyed him most this season. We have gotten so many genuine character development moments and genuine character to character moments with him,
Yeah.
that help solidify him.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted. Like, um, and I'm gonna hit on that, but even like, how his friendship affects the women differently. With Sabrina this season, I loved how Maurice was more vulnerable, even though
Mm-hmm.
he incorporated his relationship with Grayson, with Sabrina when he was like, like, girl, ever since you got with, you know, um, Rich, I don't see you as much. Like, let's go out to lunch. And she was like, well, oh, I was supposed to be meeting Rich. And she was like, well, we can double date. Like him
Mm-hmm.
showing the need for that intimacy, connection, and time with Sabrina. Normally, we would never see Maurice say something like that.
Yeah.
So I've always craved that because I believe Brian is such a great actor, such a great talent,
Yeah.
and sometimes we did not get like the meat of him. Like I understand him being like the comedic relief and all of that, but it's like it has to be more to this character than just that.
Yeah.
Again, he has a powerful backstory. It was introduced and dropped.
Mm-hmm.
This is a character whose mother has wants nothing to do with him because he's gay.
Mm-hmm.
That he also found his warning, but he found his father after he unalived himself.
Yeah.
The triggering of that, and it's like we don't. And I know he's not a sister or whatever, but it's like this is still an amazing talent that if you wanted to just touch on certain things, Brian is more than capable of delivering it with grace and with power. And I do want to see more of that, even though I don't have a problem with him being the comedic relief
Yeah.
on the show.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I love and it was so quick, but the moment was it this season or last season when Sabrina was at, I think it was season 7, and her appointment to get the with Dominic and all of that, and when Rich walked up in there and ran, and he was like, "Where's Sabrina? Where's Sabrina?" It was like, "No, it's too late. She already in the room," and he ran. And Karen was like, "Maurice, go back to him." She told me something, "I can't." You know, her stomach big as hell. Told me, "I can't." And I was like, "It ain't my problem. It ain't my cat." When I tell you, I hollered because it was like, it was funny. Like, it was so funny when he said that. Like, I ain't going nowhere. You know, and then the conversation he had in that same moment, he was sitting next to Andy and told Andy she had on a suit like she was going to a funeral. And it was like his delivery was just so good in
So
those
brilliant.
moments. And because it's very rare that we see him amongst all the women. And it's like Maurice is like that person, like he gonna make you laugh, but he also gonna say what needs to be said. 'Cause I think the last time we saw them all together was Karen's baby shower, but I don't even think he had any lines or
He didn't
whatever.
have that many,
And then
no.
it was when they all went to the club to celebrate him that night when he was extravaganza. Like, you know, situations like that. But it's like, you know, Maurice is definitely friends with them as well. And it's like, I do, even though he's closer to Sabrina, I would like to see him being, you know, incorporated a little bit more into their space, which we might see that now that him and Pam are working, you know,
together.
he's gonna be working closely with Pam and Karen. So, but yeah, baby, that thing was hilarious.
Child. And ultimately, he just brings a lot of value in his personhood as a character. Specifically, if for nothing else, to remind us that, you know, it doesn't just have to be romantic entanglements with men that is driving the show.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Ellie, I just realized that we missed one character, but child, we're gonna have to do a separate episode on his ass because we don't have Robin on here.
Oh.
And we already 3 hours in. So Robin, we're gonna have to catch you on the next time.
God. Girl, I didn't. Okay, yeah, you right about
you
that.
see what time it is, child?
I just looked. I wasn't paying no attention.
We are at the 3 hour 20-minute mark, and if y'all asses are still watching,
3:20.
We love you. Hit that like button.
Love you for sure. Please hit the like button. Please hit.
Because we're not even done.
We just up here talking, and no, we are not done. This got to be a part 2 or something. But yeah, wow.
Child.
This is definitely a record.
We talked about with Aaron how his actions lined up with his words, and a confliction for us with a lot of the other men is that is not actually the case or the standard. So we wanted to go through and talk a little bit about some of the character contradictions just real quickly and highlight some things and just give specific points of when the actions and the words are actually misaligned. Because I think that this is a really good way to understand these men when you look at what they say versus what they do. Because words be easy, but your actions really reveal your true character. Okay? Let's go ahead and start off with little Mr. Zachary Taylor. The one who wants to be a provider and a protector.
He wants to be a provider and a protector. The scene that immediately pops into my head is when he was at that board and Fatima was grabbing her purse to go to work. And she said, well, you know, I got to bring home the bacon because only one of us are working. I got to make that money. He was like, all right. I see you when you go home. I'm sorry, what? Zach ain't You want to be a who? A provider?
It's the
Man,
all
get the hell
right
out of here.
for me.
Get
See you later. One might see you when I stroll into your place of employment, putting you in a very uncomfortable, inappropriate circumstance.
Right,
you want to be a protector and provider. You want to be a leader of this family. You want to be looked at as a man, and you behave like a boy, creating additional circumstances for y'all to stay in financial instability, and you're constantly in need of rescue. The actions and the words ain't aligning. They ain't aligning.
And want to invest in Karen's business. With what money, sir?
Child, the last that they got left.
I can't.
Child, what about Rich? He loves Sabrina. He wants what's best for Sabrina. Let's have a child the old-fashioned way because we got this, Sabrina.
No. He does everything but that, because the moment this woman step outside his lines, his bound,
of what he wants
ghosted.
her to do, not even his boundaries, but the moment she making independent decisions,
it's a wrap.
He out.
Oh, you made the decision to use Dominique's sperm. You didn't tell me. I was calling you, texting you, and you chose to ignore me. So I made that's what I was calling to talk to you about. But since you ignored me, you did what you got to deal with. Yeah, no, don't line up.
We watched him walk out so many times, but he loves somebody and he want the best for them. No, you love yourself. Tony, I respect who you are. You remember when he said that?
I said, you a lie and the truth not in you. Even though your intentions are good, Tony, it is okay. It is okay to admit I do not respect the life decisions that you've made.
Yeah, and ultimately who you become because of it.
And who you become because of it. It's okay. Yeah, that may sting, but guess what? Okay. Now it's out in the open. We got to deal with it. So yeah, he don't. It's a huge contradiction because he doesn't respect it, and I don't blame him. I really don't.
Yeah. What about Calvin? Because Sabrina is important to him.
She's not, because ain't no way in hell you gonna bounce and leave and move to a whole nother coast for 6 months. You don't call me, text me, message me, or email me, but you care about me? No, you don't. No, you don't.
Constantly prioritizing his needs over Sabrina's.
Yes.
When somebody's important to you, they become a priority to you.
They become a priority. Absolutely.
Now, Gary never said these words out loud, but he said them in more or less. He want to lie and say he's changed. He want to lie and say he's learned when he's trying to manipulate Andy most times to get what he wants, but then continues the manipulative behavior. And I feel like the biggest example of this is like the jump from Andy to Penelope, and then the backstory of Penelope being with that man for 3 years and her being pregnant. Like, you were lying the whole time. The entire time. You were putting Andy through the ringer, sitting up in that damn conference room with your wife, sir. She's catching hell, and you have another woman pregnant in another apartment. Jasmine over here shooting rubber bullets and getting Andy jumped in the damn parking garage, and Penelope is living it up with her Toyota Prius and her pregnancy. What are you talking about?
Yes, it's amazing. Just those 3 moments, those 3 women right there. You have the wife, who is Jasmine. You have the main chick, who is Penelope, and you have the side chick, which is Andy. And the whole time, Andy is thinking she is the main chick who is about to become the wife. Ain't that some mess for your ass? Baby, the web of deceit there.
It's wild work. It's wild work.
It's wild. It's wild. Gary is wild.
Okay. Rightfully the villain. But to our initial introduction, our initial point, y'all, in contrast, Aaron says he will be there for you. And then what? Actually shows up. Consistently shows up.
Consistently shows up. And it is so important to address that he shows up even when he's hurt. He shows up even when he's broken. He shows up even when he's not his best self. And the moment that comes to mind for me is when he goes to see Karen after her doctor's appointment. And she finds out that more than likely Zach is the person who fathered her child. Aaron tells her that, he's disappointed because he really wanted the baby to be his. But in essence, he wanted to know how can he show up for her.
Yeah.
Baby, ain't none like you on this show. Because that's a hit.
Yep.
Because he really wanted that baby to be his so badly. And to get that blow and then to tell the woman, well, I'm still going to be here for you. How do you want me to show up? How do you need me to be here? Because that's what I'm going to do. Man. Whew.
Child. Okay. I think last but not least, we're going to go into make or break. Because we started this off talking about how pivotal the men, and specifically in the patriarchal society, which what the Sistas universe is. Yes, yes, yes. The men um, are so pivotal to the lives and the consequences that the women in said society, said world will face. So I want to go through and talk about how these men function as these pivotal forces in the women's storylines, and if they are making or breaking the characters. Because luckily for us, not every man and how he's engaged with the women has broke them. Quite a few has, but some of them haven't. Now, for Karen, we're going to talk about her business success despite relationship challenges, because I think that is an overall thing when you're thinking about the make or the break. One of the first things that you're going to go to is career, and because she's an entrepreneur, even more is on her shoulders. And we watch at the very beginning while she's trying to still get the salon up on its feet, and struggling with releasing Zach and all of that, the stress that caused. She's in and out of the salon. She actually went through a period with one of the stylists, took all her clients, and I don't think that she was as much on the ball or on the horn as she could have been if she wasn't sucked into the whole Zachness of it all, and then ultimately the Zach and Aaron-ness of it all. But then with the introduction of Aaron and the support that comes with that, and then her, of course, on her own, her being driven when it pertains to this business and her love for hair or whatever, pushed her in a way to where she is now with the new salon and everything. Of course, with the fire, all of that created, it's a thing. I think that as it pertains to business, regardless of what was happening with Karen on the romance tip, the men were not able to break her. And for all intents and purposes, the addition of Aaron was able to help build in areas where, or moments where it could have broken her. So that she's able to prevail, which is, again, nice, because that's not necessarily the norm in this universe. Would you agree?
I would agree wholeheartedly. And I immediately thought about when Zach wrote her the check to get after the fire, and told Pam and Aaron that if Karen needs more, that she could just call and let him know.
Sure.
And she ended up ripping up the check. But I think Andy ended up giving her money, and she did not want Aaron either to give her money for the salon or whatever. So I think that when it, as you stated, like, these things definitely could have broken her. 'Cause she experienced a lot, with that. But having the independence and the know-how to build without, Zach or Aaron being contributing factors at the time, but now being in a much healthier place, she could be partners with Aaron, in this new venture, that they have going on. So I am excited to see that, and it's definitely making, this businesswoman come out and do the things that I've wanted to see Karen do as a businesswoman for a long time. So definitely making, definitely on the positive side.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, Fatima, I would say, because we don't have a ton to go off of with her with career, as Andy's assistant says, paralegal, we really do have to look at her overall character transformation, and specifically her character transformation driven by the coupledom with Zach. I would argue that has broken her.
Yes, I agree. Wholeheartedly, I agree that has broken, and I really hope that for those who are listening, came back, we took a break, came back to finish, that people can really hear, the intent of me and Erica's tone with these videos, because a lot of times people just love to use the word, oh, y'all just hate it. And I can't even stand that word. I can't even stand that. But to really look at the characters.
We put way too much effort in for it to just be hate.
Yeah, when people say that, I'm just like, I don't even like responding to those people, because it lets me know where you are intellectual wise, and I just shouldn't even respond to you. But I do agree when you say that it broke her character. When you think about the transformation that she's made through her connection and being with Zach, Fatima just to me has become a lesser version of herself.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's almost as if she is comfortable with that.
Right.
And If you disagree, you could provide receipts in the comments. We definitely gonna check them out. But it's like everything that Fatima has given up her place, she'll threaten Zach plenty. I'm gonna go back to mom, and you never do.
Ever.
Like you never do. The way that we have seen this woman initially at one point begin to prioritize her schooling because her family was driving her to become, that's what she wanted to become a lawyer for. Now it has taken a back seat to raising Michael, becoming pregnant, taking care of Zach, being the breadwinner at the time, and protecting Andy. And I mean, like, why are you doing these things?
Mm-hmm.
Your nature, your character, your vision, your standard, they just no longer exist, all because you're connected to someone who you never should have been serious about in the first place.
Ooh.
Nevertheless, we're here, and it has affected. And the reality, just to contrast, you see Fatima with Zach, you see Karen with Aaron. When you're with someone, you want someone who's going to elevate you. You don't want someone that's going to bring you down.
Yep.
You don't want that. And we're clearly looking at it.
We're about addition, not subtraction, baby.
Absolutely.
And if you
Absolutely.
cannot add, you need definitely not to subtract.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Yes.
What about Sabrina? She's definitely experienced some stagnation when it comes to her character development, and I think that definitely is tied to both of her romantic entanglements, whether it's Rich or Calvin. I kind of feel like Calvin didn't necessarily break her, but Rich might be the thing that does.
I think it's Rich. I agree. I don't think Calvin, because honestly, something you said earlier, I don't think Sabrina really liked Calvin like that. Like, I think he was just something to do. It's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Men, let me tell y'all something. Never underestimate your opponent. Y'all think y'all getting over on women. Let me tell you, you're not. You're not. Sometimes you are just a list in our things of things to do for the day. Literally.
Ooh.
And I think that Sabrina cared about him as a person, but a romantic partner. Now, maybe his sex was. No, we talked about that. I don't even think the sex was probably mediocre. But yeah, this thing with Rich though, even though she, I want to see other people, she still loved him. Mm-hmm. And then to walk in on what she walked in on, I think that was something that definitely broke her. So definitely Rich.
What about Andy and so many of her professional compromises? And we put down 3 romantic entanglements, but y'all, there's also the platonic ones as well, because you too busy representing your felon ass friends.
Oh my God. She representing her felon friends and using the fact that she has had entanglements with Robin as the stepping stone to get certain things done for her. So, Fatima, Zach, they multiple times, and calling in favors for Robin to do, even with, I believe it was Sabrina, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And so, in essence, what Maurice said about Andy was not a lot. You use, use what we got to get what we want. I know it's Players Club, but Andy took a page from that book because she's definitely doing that. I think that if, and I don't know if Robin would have been apt to help her if she hadn't gave it up to him. I don't know. So I can't really assess that, but she definitely used it to her advantage.
And on paper, she got the managing partner gig, but it doesn't even feel like the character of Andy has moved centimeters ahead. So I would also argue that you also, honey, are being broken by your romantic ass entanglements and how you are navigating those. Because while Gary isn't necessarily in the damn law firm, but tied to your damn career, he tried to take over your whole damn firm behind his quote unquote love of you, and then how you decided to handle that. Again, Andy would be a character that I would feel like has been broken over and over and over again, and then she comes back to break some more. Girl, do you ever want to heal? Do you ever want health?
And the sad part is some people actually find comfort in being broken.
Yeah.
Find comfort in being, because healing takes too much work.
Hell, I think the next person, Danny, will be a prime example of that. Mm-hmm. If she didn't prove that to me, and like by season 5, she has definitely proved that to me by season 8. Danny finds home in brokenness. She is allergic to health. She's allergic to peace. She's allergic to healing. She play like she want it, but she can't possibly really want it and still make the decisions that she makes. And so much of her growth has been stunted by relationship drama, and whether it's the committed relationships we get to see with Preston and Tony, or the abusive ones we have seen that she invited in to a certain extent, or the obsessive ass one at the very beginning, like we talked about earlier with Tyrone, and like knowing that you're not a thing for him, but you're going to try to force yourself into that. Like, you were willing to give that much effort and that much energy to that particular circumstance with that particular man who is saying outright that he doesn't want you, he don't see you. But then when other men come and they say they see you, they see not only you but all the potential that you have in you, they want to help pull that out. Now all of a sudden they're the enemy, but you had all this energy to go chase some other man and chase his disrespect. Honestly,
yes,
girl, you're broken.
yeah.
These men are breaking you.
Her and Andy are one and the same. Like, they have all the nook if you book for the wrong people.
Ooh, child.
They really do.
You ain't lying. I said this was gonna be last but least, but I think we should go ahead and end on talking about when a woman's success story requires a man's presence, because I think for our luck, Karen hasn't needed that, but for the most part, a lot of the other women, and whether it's pursuing professional achievement or personal achievement for the ambitions that they set on themselves, they have all kind of been triangulated in the presence of a man. Andy is now managing partner in spite of Robin, but ultimately would she have risen to the occasion and spoken up for herself and done X, Y, and Z if Robin didn't create a potential problem for her to overcome? And then even with that, like, her calling in favors for her fellow ass friends, and like the proximity and the sleeping with your boss and all of those things, again, the man being present is why she's being lauded to this particular place. And hell, even Gary, she's put up in this penthouse and she's driving a Bentley behind riding a married man's penis. Ugh.
Yeah.
Danny might not want it, but your man was trying to usher your ass into a managerial program and put you on the track to actually start to achieve and push forward and want more out of life. You ain't want it. However, your success was tied to this particular man. Hell, Sabrina is a manager down at the damn bank, which is not on the back of some other man. It's actually in spite of a traumatic ass man. Q and Maurice's little goofy ass gave a pay boyfriend, but her success within the personal realm, as it pertains to wanting to be a mother, is hinged on these men. How do you feel about that, Ellie? And like, the idea that so many women's success story requires a man's presence in this world.
Sad. It's sad. And then, like, you have a show like this that is, led by women, strong Black women, and that's still the narrative for them. Yeah. Like, it's still the narrative. Like, these things happen because of a man. And that's not to say that, you can't have assistance. But does every story have to include a man's influence in order for a woman to excel?
And prevail, yeah.
And prevail, like, it doesn't have to be that, and it's interesting that Karen is the only person that's not the story. That's not her narrative. And I thought about this too, even when you were speaking, even though it's personal, Karen is the only character that I could think of out of the women who truly took a break from a man. I need this for me. I'm doing this for me. Whether, those of us who wanted them together agreed with it or not, I understood what she needed in that moment. And it was a clear break, and she was not worried about not nan man.
Yeah.
None. And we saw the things she was able to do with her career when that was no longer in her face, no longer a thought, in that moment. So I'm like, if she can do it, it could definitely be done, with the rest of these women. But it just proves that we still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
We got a long way to go. And, a lot of these things happen when you have a man running a show for women. It's still going to be that.
I don't know who's going to be the showrunner now, but I
don't know either,
past 2 season showrunner has gone on to be on the gate. So we're going to see when
Yeah.
season 9 get here, if Tyler Perry is taking the reins back or has somebody else stepped in to assume that particular responsibility.
I
Such
hope
a
it's a
great point,
woman.
though. I hope so too.
I so hope it. I hope it's a woman because my God, the whole tone of the show would change. The whole tone. Let me not say that because I mean it's still being
There's some
influenced
male
by men.
identified women out here,
Yeah,
Shay.
I was ready to say I had to rephrase that because it's a woman. That don't mean nothing. But it's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah.
It really is. And you know, and Andy, I think she's the one that benefited the most from the influence of men in her professional life.
Yes, for sure.
And she got it on all aspects,
Yeah.
like every last aspect. And you pointed out great the penthouse, the car, the elevation, this managing partner. You don't deserve it. You treated Robin like crap, yet he backed it. I'm happy. I always knew you could.
Child.
In
In another life, baby, I'm coming back as a sugar baby, and I'm gonna show y'all how to do it right.
Facts.
Y'all, we hope that you enjoyed this very, very in-depth, detailed, long conversation, getting into the nitty-gritty of the men of Tyler Perry Sistas. Robin, no shade, no foul, baby. I'm sorry that we forgot you, but at this point, we've been talking too damn long, and we're going to have to get you on another time. You're still important. You stressful as well, but you're still important. Again, we hope that you guys really, really enjoyed this this conversation. You enjoy the conversations that we have on our Sistas Keeper. Like we, mentioned, we are keeping this going even between seasons. So we're currently between seasons 8 and seasons 9 when we're recording this, but we're coming with the heat. We're coming with these very analytical, deep dive conversations. And if you are enjoying it, please hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out. Go and check Allie out on her channel at Allie Nick Official. You can also follow our Sistas Keeper, where our clips and additional conversations will be posted on TikTok, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, Threads, everywhere you get your social media. Also look out for us everywhere you get your podcast, because you will also just be able to listen if that's how you choose to consume it. We are putting in work, and we really enjoy having these conversations, which is why we keep showing up to do so. We, again, hope that you guys are enjoying them, and we will see you in the next one.
Good night, y'all.